Hello, hi, welcome back everybody to yet another installment of the Daily Cooking Show, the Daily Cooking Stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful Wednesday afternoon / evening, wherever and whenever you might be watching, or if you're watching this at a later date, it's also really good to see you. I see that we have a lot of classics in chat at the moment. We have Jack, of course, we have Alim Dina, I see that we had Scrublo, also welcome on Into Z. Hello Banner2K, welcome. I'm pretty excited about today's stream. Now, first things first, I want to talk about, we have a couple things that we need to talk about. Also, thank you, Duke McNasty. First of all, this is starting 2 hours earlier than usual. If you're watching this live, this is currently happening at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I want your feedback. Go to my Discord, you can even type it in chat. I want to know how you feel about this because I want to be able to accommodate the largest audience possible. And of course, this doesn't pertain to you if you're watching this at a later date. I want to be nice and accommodating because I know I have a lot of EU viewers. So, welcome on in Z, welcome on in Munha as well. Now, we have something really exciting to talk about as well before I even get into what we'll be making today. Let's go ahead and go to the stove. Let's go to the stove really quickly. You might be like, huh, that's it. Ignore me hitting the pan over there. Guys, we have a nice fancy new camera. We have a fancy new camera for our stove shot today. It's nice and smooth, 60 FPS now. So this is just gonna look great, a little bit better than before. Okay, and we've swapped around the overhead camera, so it's not going to be as nice. Ignore how shiny that is at the moment. That's just because of the light currently reflecting on it. You missed the overexposed camera, Alima? I don't think you do. I don't. So, point is, things are going to be changing around here. They're not going to be the same as much. I'm still deciding if I even want that light to begin with, but we'll see. Okay, next. Let's talk about what we'll be making to eat today, my friends. I am pretty excited. So, this is not something that I would typically make at home. We're going to be making some Carne Asada today. Carne Asada, for those of you that are not familiar, quite literally just means grilled meat, or in this case, grilled beef. But in Mexican cooking, it is heavily associated with sort of the idea of like a grill, or like a barbecue, right? This is sort of like a gathering that you have with like a bunch of people. You get together, you have a Carne Asada. We won't be doing that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm by myself at home. Number two, I am in a New York City apartment. So we're gonna have a lot of the flavors that you would typically associate with a Carne Asada, even if it is not necessarily directly grilled. I promise you we'll be able to make something really delicious. This is one of my favorite dishes to eat. It is not something I would consider a home food, but I wanted a little treat today. So let's take a look. My friends, look at all the skirt steak. Look at this bad boy. You see this? This is skirt steak. For those of you that are unfamiliar with skirt steak, this is the diaphragm muscle on the cow. Okay, so this is the cut of the meat under the lungs, basically, under the diaphragm, that pushes it up and down. And so, skirt steak is a really delicious cut of meat here. Now, I want you all to look at something. I want you all to look at it. I want you to see the grain definition of it. You see the striations of the meat? They're all pointing in one direction towards you. You have to slice perpendicular to it in order to get a nice tender steak. We did one thing with this beforehand. I bought this from the store. I salted it heavily in advance. I'm going to be talking to you about some steak theory today and also be debunking a lot of nonsense. So I want to hear you guys be excited for it. Are you guys excited to learn how to cook a proper steak? I want to hear you, yes, chef. Thank you. So that's going to be for the Carne Asada. We're going to make a beautiful marinade for it, and we'll talk about some marinating theory as well as a lot of misconceptions about it and what it actually does and doesn't do. Then, my friends, this is all going to go into the marinade. We have these 3 beautiful chilies. We have some guajillos, we have some chipotles, and we also have some anchos. We don't use dried chili powder in this household. We only use whole, beautiful dried chilies. Also, welcome on in, Navy Lus. Welcome on in. Look at these beautiful chilies, and we'll talk about the differences and why you want to use that in just a little bit of time. And then, my friends, we'll be making a nice pot of chorizo black beans. I have some of this delicious locally made chorizo. I have a pound of black beans right here, okay? And we're gonna have a bunch of fresh toasted spices. It's gonna be pretty excellent, and alongside it, we'll make some Pico de Gallo. So, over here as well, my friends, I have this nice little assortment of some jalapenos and some cherry tomatoes. When it's this cold, this is maybe the only reason I would opt for cherry tomatoes because they're kind of decent, right? During this time of year, tomatoes just generally suck, right? But cherry tomatoes, they tend to be pretty okay all year round. And I'm gonna show you how to make the perfect Pico de Gallo. Okay, and then we'll also make a seasoned rice if we have the time. So everybody, I guess my question to you is, Do we have, are we ready? Are we ready to begin? Are you ready? The first thing that we have to do, the order of operations is as follows. First step, we have to work on the beans. It's going to be done in the pressure cooker because it's really nice and efficient. Okay, I love doing black beans and just any kind of beans in a pressure cooker. I only do dried beans. I never opt for canned beans anymore because they're way too expensive. They basically cost twice as much as dried beans, and I'm able to really control the texture and get as much of the cooking liquid as possible. So we'll be doing dried beans from scratch. The pressure cooker allows us to be able to get done with everything in a timely manner. Also, Sagan, now I'm going to put you on blast a little bit here. I'm going to put you on blast for a second. You said habanero, jalapeno, a nice mix of everything and stuff that you need for everything. Now, these are unfortunately not the kinds of chilies that I'm talking about. These are just fresh chilies, and the habaneros, they tend to bring a little bit of sweetness, and the jalapenos tend to be a little bit more vegetal, but they don't have the flavor of these dried chilies. These dried chilies here are very, very special. Also, Z, thank you so much for the 100 bits. These dried chilies are incomparable to any of the fresh chilies that you just mentioned, so it's going to be very different stuff. I didn't mean to put you on blast, but I just wanted to make an example out of you. So I do sincerely apologize for that. So, my friends, let's begin. First step, we're gonna go to the stove really quickly. Now, I think for this pan, we might not want any additional lighting. I think that will be just fine. No, we're not doing any soaking on the beans, Jack. Good question. First things first, we're gonna go ahead and crank up that heat. We're gonna get that pan nice and hot. The first step is we're going to brown the chorizo, and then we're going to dump everything into the pressure cooker pot, my friends. So let's begin doing that now. That's currently going on the stove. I want to line that for you all so you can see that a little bit better. You know what? Fine. We'll do a little light. I'm still figuring this out. Okay, my friends. Do we have cilantro, and will we also be using onions, asks Razael. And the answer is yes, absolutely. Are you serious? Here's what I did before the stream. I have a big batch of freshly washed cilantro that I put into a little container for us to use up later. And then we'll also have some onions. It's going to go into the beans. It's going to go into basically every single component here. Don't you worry about that at all, I promise. So, here's what we need to do. We want to get the chorizo out of the skin. Okay, we want it to be nice and crumbly when it actually goes into the pot of beans. And the reason for this is because if we have these huge, massive coins of chorizo, it's just going to be really, really chewy. I want all of the fat in the chorizo to melt out. I want all those spices to get into the pot of beans. And so we are going to have to get rid of the sausage skin and crumble it up ourselves. Don't worry, I will never do that kind of cooking without cilantro. I promise you. Okay, here's what's going to happen. We're gonna take this and we're just gonna pop it out. There is no correct way to do this. The drier your sausage is, so like what I like to do is if I leave it exposed in the fridge for a few days, it becomes very easy to separate the skin. Otherwise, this seems to do the job quite nicely. But yes, leaving it exposed for a few days really, really lets you just peel that skin right off as the skin dries out. Okay, that's one, perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and do this other sausage right here. Split it down the middle, make it a little bit easier for us. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You're actually just pressing all the sausage out. Also, Bubzo101, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. And we have a hype train already. Oh God, I forgot the hype train message that I have. Hype train sniffle. Give me your subs, give me your money, and then we get to say hype train again or something. Okay. Oh, Big Zach, you buy yourself an Instant Pot for Black Friday? You're gonna learn how to make stocks? Big Zach, you're gonna make a lot of stocks in there and you're gonna make a lot of beans in there. Those are my favorite things to do. Can't get enough of them. Okay, let's get all of this stuff out, my friends. And so, by the way, I also wanna mention, there is a specific reason that I'm actually frying the chorizo in a separate pan and not the Instant Pot itself. While the Instant Pot does have, and pressure cookers do have the ability to saute and fry things in them, overall, it's not actually the best for the longevity of your pot, and it's not necessarily the best at sauteing things either. It's not like the best quality steel, it's not a very good pan, and so I have a much nicer metal pan that will be able to give me the crust and the level of browning that I'm looking for. And so I will almost always avoid using the saute setting. Also, Jack, you've asked me, is there a substitution for chorizo we can use? Yes. My answer to you is get any coarse local sausage. Also, I'm too busy to ban somebody from chat right now. Well, hold on. I think, here's the thing. The average fat content of it, I would actually argue, is maybe closer to 30-40% or so. But here's my suggestion to you. It's less about the chorizo and more about the actual quality of the ingredients. The reality is this: there is no sausage that's going to taste exactly like chorizo. But what you can do is look up the spices that go into it, supplement those in the dish that you're doing, and buy like a very coarse local sausage. Just buy whatever sausage around you is actually the best. And yes, they do sell it. Okay, this is a very good question. Asnald just asked me, do they sell it not in a casing like a stuffing? And yes, they do. However, most American supermarket chorizo that is vacuum sealed separately is, truthfully, dog shit. It is unusable. It is horrible. It is pretty bad. Go to a local Mexican market. They might have some in like a very big case, like you would see like ground meat. Otherwise, just buy the links of chorizo sausage. But let me tell you, the pre-ground super wet packed stuff, it is very, very unpleasant. Okay, so let's head to the stove. We gotta fry up the chorizo. We wanna get some color on it. We wanna be able to brown it thoroughly. But yes, so as for substitutions, just use whatever is the best quality thing that you have available to you, around you, okay? So, a little bit of oil. We don't need a lot. This is just to help get the chorizo started, okay? If we put in too much oil, it's gonna get too greasy. Chorizo has a lot of natural fat, right? That is presently occurring in it. It has plenty of, animal fat. But we just need a little bit of oil to help get it started. Okay, just a drop. Now, I'm gonna grab a spoon. We're gonna throw the chorizo right in. And we're just gonna gently, and I do mean gently, break all of this up. You don't wanna start smushing this immediately. If you start smushing it immediately, you won't be able to get the kind of crust that you're looking for. Also, Lumadingo, thank you so much for the Prime sub. We're looking to get some color built up. Oh, and Moonha, absolutely it's better. Guess what? We have a new camera. We have no more exposure issues. We have a nice new camera. That's right. Thank you for noticing. We're making some big upgrades on the Daramgar stream. Also, Dolingo is my family. Thank you so much for the gifted sub as well. You guys are being really sweet to me today. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this stuff into the dishwasher now. Out of sight, out of mind. And now, once it develops a little bit of color, you really wanna make sure you don't have any massive pieces. You're looking for a small to medium distributed chorizo, my friends. Okay? Beautiful. Fry it away. Get some good color on there. Chop it up, do what you gotta do, but let it fry in all of its own fat now. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, you just don't wanna smush it up too aggressively immediately. Also, Dosky, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. You guys are so sweet today. Thank you, thank you. My friends, look at this camera. Look at this camera. Look how nice this camera is. It's better than my front one. We're making upgrades. We're improving the quality of the Daramgar stream. We're getting there. I want to make this a cooking show. And we're going to treat it like a cooking show. Okay? And I appreciate all of you for being here along the journey and along the ride. It's very sweet of all of you. So. Yeah, Dasky is always so sweet. Okay, my friends. First of all, get out of here. Goodbye. Banned. Next, we gotta work on the other components. Also, Z, thank you so much for the 500 bits. Jesus. Okay. So, we have to think about all the other components that will be going into the beans. So here's my general ratio. You want usually 1.5 to 2 quarts of water when you're pressure cooking a pound of beans. I have slightly under a pound of beans. Oh, Dosky, you're being so sweet. Thank you so much. So, around 2 quarts of water. Thank you for the gifted sub, Dosky. And now we can work on the other components in here. First step, all of these beans. You don't gotta soak them. You don't have to do anything crazy to it. We're just gonna pour it right in, my friends, just as is. Okay? I'm also gonna give the chorizo another stir. We wanna make sure it's evenly browning on all sides. And now you could fry the onions for the beans, but I don't think it's completely necessary. Not every single onion has to be fried. I just really love the taste and the texture of the fried chorizo and getting all of its fat out now. Okay? Next, we gotta talk about our spices. I don't normally use a lot of pre-ground spices, or pre-mixed spices, excuse me. This, my friends, is one of my few exceptions. This is sazon, right? Or specifically Goya sazon. This is one of my favorite spice blends to use. Anybody that grew up in a household where it was used would know all about it as well. It's pretty fantastic stuff. It has some annatto seeds in it, I believe, so it stains everything like a really pretty orange. But this is, I don't have access to like annatto paste or like annatto seeds or anything, and so this is where I kind of get it into stuff. Okay, it's really, really delicious. You really gotta try some. We're gonna use 2 packets of it. So into the pot. That's 1. Ooh, Esto Self asks. Oh, that's such a good question. Esto Self asked, what is the difference between cilantro and culantro? Or rather, cilantro and, I don't know actually how you would say that in Spanish. Would it just be cilantro? Interesting. But point is, culantro, which is the anglicized pronunciation of it, is a little bit more robust and holds up to cooking quite a bit more. You would typically cook with culantro, and the cilantro you would try to keep raw in a lot of applications. But it has been tested before. Culantro tends to hold up to cooking a lot better than cilantro does. But that is an excellent question. For example, it's used in, I believe, receta, right? Or it's just like you would like blend it up and then like cook with the base of it, right? You would cook it up once you blended it, and it can be like a really delicious base for a lot of bean dishes. So these are 2 fundamentally different herbs. They have completely different textures. I would cook more with culantro, but I unfortunately don't have access to any fresh because it's actually just not a very popular ingredient in the United States, aside from, you know, specialty stores or Latin supermarkets that would actually carry it. It's somehow like less common than epazote. Okay, my friends. It's browning up really, really nicely. Next. Also, Z the Dreamer, thank you so much for the sub. Really, really appreciate it once again. Oh, you guys are being so sweet to me today. Next up, I don't have any chicken stock. Normally, I would make all of my black beans with chicken stock. I have some chicken bouillon powder here. We're gonna do, did it just splash? I've never seen that splash before. We're gonna do about 2 spoons of that. Okay, it's gonna have plenty of salt in it. It's gonna reduce quite a bit. All right. And now, my friends, I need you all to understand something very important. I want you all to understand something very important. The number 1 mistake that people make with beans, okay, is they throw away the bean cooking liquid when they're done with it. They throw away the bean cooking liquid. They just say, okay, great, and then they drain it out and they think that they have cooked beans. Guess what? That is a huge mistake. Huge mistake, my friends. Huge. The bean cooking liquid is what's going to give you thick, delicious black beans. That's how you do it. That's how you get it done. It creates the saucy texture that you associate with a really good pot of Mexican beans. We're going to reduce it once it's done cooking, and we're going to make it become its own sauce. Do not, under any circumstance, throw away the cooking liquid. That is where all the flavor is. That's where all the different seasonings that we've added. Okay? It is absolutely a waste. I see people do it all the time, and it bothers the hell out of me. Okay. Almost done with the chorizo, my friends. We're going to dump it in, fat and all, in just a moment. I guess we are missing out on a little bit of the fond, but that's okay. Just chop it up a little bit more. And you can see it's sizzling away in its own fat. It's beautiful. Okay. And ask yourself, cooking in a clay pot doesn't really give things a special consistency. It's more like a traditional way to do it. It just holds heat pretty well. Okay, Duolingo has my family. What'd you just ask me? You said, how is chef so knowledgeable? So there's a specific story I have with culantro. There's a specific story that I have with culantro. With culantro, the reason why I know about it and the reason I first learned about it was when I was 13 years old, I was on Chopped Junior. And one of the basket ingredients that they had for me was culantro. I didn't know what it was at the time, and then ever since then I did a little bit of research, and I learned what culantro was and its importance and relevance and its applications and usage. So that's why. With this one, I have a very specific story. I have a very specific association with that one ingredient. Okay. We're going to turn down that heat slightly. Remember, chorizo is filled with spices. and those are very prone to burning. But right now we're just getting this beautiful crust developed in all the chorizo, my friends. And look at how much love. Guys, beans aren't just a shitty side dish that you can do with a can of beans. It's not a side dish. It is an essential component. We're giving it a lot of love. We're giving it a lot of spices. We're giving a lot of chorizo. We are really treating these beans with a lot of care and attention. These are not just some component that you can open up a can of beans and serve it with some bland rice. Absolutely not. These are essential, okay? I love beans to death. I love them. Okay, next up. Let's go back on over here. Beautiful. Remember, this is a pot. Black beans. We have some of the sazon. We have some of the seasoning. Next up, we're gonna do, I don't even think I wanna do bay leaves in this. I'm gonna keep it really simple for today. We're going to go ahead and throw in an onion, around half of one. Cut the head off. We're gonna use this onion later on. Ooh, it's a big ass onion. Okay. Now we're gonna cut most of the quarter. What type of onion is that? That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. This might be what's called like a Spanish onion, a yellow onion, though I am not entirely certain. Typically though, I would recommend if they are cheap in your area, they tend to be a little bit more expensive, anything branded as like a sweet onion. Okay, half an onion. We don't want to cut it up into pieces because we want to be able to easily remove it. And yes, my kitchen does smell pretty awesome. It does smell wonderful. It smells like cooking chorizo. Okay. Almost done, my friends. And then we're gonna do some garlic cloves. We're just gonna give them a little smash and peel the skin off. Okay? So all we're gonna do, we're gonna open up this head. I like doing this over the bowl. Oh, everybody, I'm so happy to see all of you. So once again, I would love to ask, how is the 4 p.m. Eastern time stream doing for y'all? Is this something that doesn't matter? Is this something that allowed you to be here? I really want to know. I really want to conduct some research on this because I want to be able to accommodate as many people as possible. Okay, this is quite a firm head of garlic. Wow. Let's get about 3 garlic cloves in there. Remember, we have plenty of garlic in the actual sazon itself. Oh, excuse me. Didn't mean to hit y'all there. Gonna give the chorizo one last stir. Make sure it's not burning on the bottom or anything. Remember, everybody, when it comes to cooking sausage, medium and slow is the key. You never want to go too high. 5 would be, okay. I can see it also being a little bit tough for 9 to 5ers. That's right. I'm trying to figure out what would be best for my European audience as well. You know? Do I have a garbage disposal or do I throw away the waste? Well, great question. I just throw this stuff away. I do not have a garbage disposal because New York doesn't have a lot of them. Okay, we're smashing each garlic clove. 5. Okay, I'm taking notes. Smashing all the garlic cloves just so I can easily peel that skin off of them. Didn't smash that enough. Okay, and last one. Yes, I like doing this with a bench scraper and not my knife because there's always like the risk that you can run your hand over the blade of the knife. I don't like doing that. I don't like messing with all of that. Also, Raging Waffle, I'm doing lovely today. Hope you're doing well yourself. Okay, I'm gonna get those skins off and I'm just gonna throw that into the pot. We don't have to chop it up or anything. We're just gonna pick it out after. Beautiful. And now, my friends, guess what? We have a pot of beans ready to go in just a second. Let's go back to the stove. We're gonna turn off the heat on the chorizo. It has fried plenty in its own fat. We're scraping up the bottom. We're not gonna do anything crazy like deglazing it, okay? But look at all that beautiful chorizo. Excellent, just scrape up the bottom, scrape up whatever might have gotten stuck during that process. I'm gonna move some stuff aside. And we're just gonna dump that into a pot, into a pressure cooker pot. Do I sharpen my bench scraper? That's a good question, Bubza. I do not. I don't ever think you really need to because you're not cutting stuff with it. Right, you're just scraping. Okay, and all of that goes in now. All of that beautiful fried chorizo, my friends. Dump it all in. Get every single little teeny tiny piece on the bottom. That's what I'm talking about. And this, my friends, is the start of something very, very special. This is the start of something very magical. This is going to be a delicious pot of seasoned black beans with chorizo, with sazon, with some of the bouillon as well, with onions and with garlic, and it smells, quite frankly, incredible at the moment. Smells incredible. Smells excellent even. So, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and go on over to the pressure cooker. This is gonna be happening off camera. I'm setting this on high for 40 minutes. High pressure, 40 minutes. This is my ratio. Normally, I don't think in cooking there's a lot of times where ratio is important. This is one of those things that kind of is, because you want to get the correct texture on the beans. Here's my ratio, everybody. Here's my ratio. Remember, I want you all to take note of this. 1 pound of black beans, a little under 2 quarts of water, 40 minutes. High pressure, and then we'll naturally release it if we want to and have the time as well. Okay? That's how I make perfect, consistent black beans in a pressure cooker every single time. Is this the oh, Death Owl, you've asked me an incredible question. So, Death Owl asks, is this the standard across beans, or are these just for black beans? And this is a good question. The answer is, every single bean, to some extent, they do cook a little bit differently, mostly dependent on the size and the thickness of the bean. I have tried 40 minutes for pinto beans, for red kidney beans, and for black beans. And truth be told, it's actually just worked for all of it, except just make sure to naturally release them, natural pressure release. But I've tried these for every single kind of bean so far, besides white beans and maybe chickpeas. I think chickpeas I did in a different time, but that has yielded consistent results. So the answer is yes, it does change. I don't have the specifics for you. All I know is for me, pinto beans, black beans, and red kidney beans, they've all cooked in 40 minutes of high pressure and then about 10 minutes of natural pressure release. Okay. Let's do a quick recap. Let's do a little quick recap. Let's talk about everything that we have accomplished so far. So, we started a beautiful pot of beans, okay? We're giving them a lot of love. We don't mess with canned beans on the stream. You'll never see me use them unless I just have some lying around. Beautiful pot of black beans going in the pressure cooker. We have a pound of black beans, so 2 quarts of water. And then we have in there a bunch of chorizo, some onions, some garlic as well, some sazon, and a little bit of chicken bouillon. And then once that's cooked, we're gonna reduce it down, we're gonna get it nice and saucy, and we're gonna have the best beans in the East Coast. Okay, it's gonna be incredible. Next, we have to make the marinade for the carne asada, and there's a lot of things to talk about here. There's a lot of misconceptions. I want to break some illusions. I'm going to create some enemies right now. Everybody, I need you all to pay attention. I want to hear yes, chef, universally from everybody in chat while I take a sip of water. Cracking my knuckles for this. Okay. You ready? I'm going to blow your minds right now. Marinades are mostly bullshit. They're mostly bullshit. I'm going to explain to you why they're useless, or actually what they do and how to be more realistic with what they do and understanding how to hone in on that. Now, I said that just now in the way that I did to be really contrarian and to sort of send a shock message, but people don't understand how marinades actually function, and they end up wasting a lot of ingredients that they don't. Number one, you have several different chemical processes happening. You can have enzymic reactions, you can have a little bit of enzymic breakdown, you can have an acidic reaction, and then you could also brine something. Those are the sort of 3 major things that can be happening when you marinate something. For example, if you season something with salt, the salt will actually penetrate it over the course of 30 minutes to maybe even a couple of hours. It will penetrate it and evenly season it all the way through. Brining things is legit and real. You can take pineapple, blend it up, and put meat in there, and all the enzymes in a pineapple will basically chew up the meat, and you'll get a very tender piece of meat. That is true. That is a factual statement. And then also, having an acidic marinade can almost kind of cook the very top 16th inch of a piece of meat and change the texture of it. However, I'm going to tell you something right now. Most spices, if you have a thick piece of meat, if you have spices, if you have all these different seasonings, they're not going to penetrate inside of your meat. Your meat is not a sponge in its raw state. It is not a sponge in its raw state. The way to think about it is, it's kind of like a super saturated sponge soaked in water. It has no room for other things to really go into it. Your spices are not going to penetrate it. If you have a thick steak, if I see people with big pieces of meat and they try to marinate it, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Now, marinating vegetables is a little bit different. I'm talking right now about the context of meat, Raziel, but that's a good question. So, point is, meat is not nearly as permeable as you might think it is. So why are we marinating this carne asada? Well, let's talk about the fact that we have a very acidic marinade today. We're using a lot of lime juice in this. It's very acidic. And when you have an acidic marinade, about the top 16th inch of the meat kind of gets chewed up. And that top 16th inch that ends up getting a little bit chewed up, it will then be able to sort of physically pick up the spices that we put on it. It's essentially the equivalent of if we took a knife to the meat and we did brrrr to like the top 16th inch 1,000 times. That's kind of what the lime juice, or rather any amount of acidity, does. Okay. Now, we also have salt to consider. We have the brining process. Beforehand, I'm going to show you guys right now. I want you all to tap in for a second, okay? When I got the steak from the store, I put it on a sheet tray and I salted it very heavily. This is what we call dry brining. I salted it very heavily over the top. The salt will penetrate the meat, get rid of excess moisture, and increase the meat's potential moisture retention. So it's able to hold on to its existing moisture a lot better, and you get a juicier steak that is also seasoned. Brining is legit, and this works with either salt or sugar. I'm not actually sure about the water retention of using sugar, but sugar will also definitely penetrate inside. Okay? So I did this beforehand. Now, you know what people say? I have a question. How many of you have ever heard, don't salt the steak in advance? I want a show of hands. I want people to say, yes, chef, if you've heard people say, don't salt your steak in advance. Have you ever heard that? Has a chef on YouTube ever told you not to do that? Oh, don't put salt on it in advance. It makes it dry. It pulls out excess moisture. Have you ever heard that? There's a lot of people on YouTube that said shit like that, especially in the last 10 years. No, chef? Okay, that's fine. I see it all over the place. Point is, that's all nonsense. Salting and brining things is pretty essential for the big cuts of meat that you're gonna sear. I love salting and brining my steaks. I love salting and brining my steaks. One in particular who said to salt the boy, that's Adam Ragusia. I know that Adam Ragusia said that. Salt it in advance and it's going to evenly penetrate it. It's going to evenly penetrate it. Do not believe any nonsense that says this dries the meat out. Only if you have meat, let's say over 24 to 48 hours, covered in salt, it's going to get the texture of salted dried beef. I promise you, within 30 minutes to even a couple of hours of pre-salting, you're going to get increased moisture retention and a fully seasoned piece of meat. So that's what we did. We spread it out on a sheet tray, salted both sides, and I stuck it in the fridge. And now it's gonna go back in. Okay, I wanted to get that out of the way. Brining is legit and brining is real. So, once again, why are we marinating? Also, Raging Waffle, you're not asking your question too much. Don't worry about it. I don't know what question you're talking about that is. So, really quickly, we gotta talk about the seasoning for this meat. I'm using whole chilies. And again, the chilies themselves, they won't necessarily penetrate the meat as much as they'll be in like the top 16th inch of it. And they'll also be slightly on the outside. So you're kind of eating this like cooked marinade on the outside of it. But again, these thin pieces of meat lend themselves well to acidic marinades. Because think about it this way. Let's say we covered a very thick steak. Let's say we had a steak that was, 6 inches thick. Just theoretically, right? And we covered that in lime juice. And only the top 16th inch of it was affected by the lime juice. Now compare that to like a very thin strip steak, or a skirt steak, excuse me. Really, really thin. That 1/16 of an inch has a lot more relevance, proportionally speaking, to a thinner piece of meat. I will never do an acidic marinade for a big piece of meat. I will only do it for a thin piece of meat because it will actually be that much more pronounced. So it will work on a thin piece of meat like a skirt steak. Okay, excellent. So here's our marinade. It's going to be cumin, it's going to be coriander, it's going to be some oregano, it's going to be some lime juice, it's going to be some cilantro, it's going to be some garlic. It's all going to be blended up together and make a delicious marinade. And now, my friends, I'm also not messing around with my spices. You already know what we do on the stream. Whole spices, whole spices. We don't mess around with any pre-ground spices. I don't mess around with pre-ground chilies. Why? When spices are ground, when anything is ground, that's what I call destructive prep. Basically, you're taking all the volatile compounds and exposing it to air and to light, and it's able to lose its taste a lot quicker. Keeping these spices whole, keeping them in whole seeds, just like this, it's going to hold on to much more of its flavor. And then when we toast it and grind it ourselves, our cumin is so much more delicious that way. Same exact thing with the chilies. That's why, my friends, I have these beautiful whole dried chilies. Look at these things, beautiful. My chipotles, my anchos, my guajillos. Each of these things, they bring so much flavor, so much character. These are my guajillos, complex, bitter, not so spicy. One of these is my chipotle and one of these is my ancho, and I forgot which is which. These are my anchos, a lot of heat. These are my chipotles, heat and also the smokiness because these chilies are smoked. Okay? This is where it's at. I don't use any pre-ground chili powder. Go to your local Latin supermarket, order some online. You can order this online as well. This will elevate your cooking in every single regard. Use whole dried chilies, I'm not kidding. Okay, so here's what we have to do. We're going to toast the chilies. We're going to toast the spices. We're going to grind the spices and we're going to blend all the other stuff together. And Droid TV asks me, are canned chipotles in adobo all right? This is a very good question. If you don't have access to dried chipotles, absolutely. Don't use pre-ground chipotle powder that they sometimes sell as like a McCormick, spice mix or whatever. Don't do that. Buy the canned chipotles in adobo. Just make sure to use quite a bit of it. Yes, absolutely. That's what I do in a pinch when I'm visiting somewhere else where I don't have access to my dried chilies that I have at home. Okay, so toast the spices, toast the chilies, grind it all up. Let's make it happen. Also, adobo refers to a type of sauce that the chipotles would be packed in. Okay, let's go to the stove. Ignore that hot chorizo pan. So, remember this little guy? Remember this cute little pan? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn it on the heat. Next, we're gonna add some coriander seeds. We're gonna add about twice as many cumin seeds. Where's my cumin seeds? We're not gonna toast the oregano. The oregano, we're just gonna have it ground up. 1, 2, perfect. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, and now move it around. You can do a medium heat and just keep it moving. Keep it shaking, my friends. We're toasting it. We're looking for some slight wisps of smoke. And this, my friends, has so much more aroma. It has so much more love and character than shitty pre-ground spices. Whole cumin seeds, whole coriander seeds. In fact, I think I can do a few more coriander seeds. Just a few. Okay. Keep it toasted, keep it moving. You don't want to burn the spices, especially on this kind of heat. Keep it moving, my friends, keep it moving. Also, I can't really read the chat like this. Oh, I do a cold pan because it doesn't actually matter too much. Yes, we will use a pestle and mortar for this, but not for the chilies. The chilies themselves will just blend up with everything else. I don't like grinding my own chili powder. I don't like grinding my own chili powder because it produces a lot of sort of chili powder in the air. Also, welcome on in, Slash. I don't know who that is. Tell me about them. Okay. Slight wisps of smoke. Give that another second, and it's gonna be perfect. And I think that's it. Nope, not quite. Give another second. Again, this doesn't have to be too exact. It's still gonna be fried after, right? But this, oh, you can smell it. It's beautiful. Okay, let's go over here. Let's go on over to my mortar and pestle, my friends. And now I'm gonna teach you all how to use this thing again. Welcome on in, Possum. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Okay. So, my friends, right here, cumin, coriander, and then one more thing we're gonna do, we're gonna add some oregano. Oregano goes right in. We don't toast the oregano. We don't need to. Is salting non-muscle meat okay, like gizzards or tongue? Oh, that's such a good question. I believe Russian boiled tongue might be like veal tongue, might be pre-salted in advance. Though I'm not entirely sure. That's such a good question. I don't have an answer for you. I don't actually know exactly how those different muscles work. So my friends, take a look. Coriander seeds, cumin, first step. We're not rolling it around, we're just smashing it first. First thing you want to do is smash it because you don't want it to explode all over the place. Because if you have a bunch of like these round little spheres, these round little orbs of coriander, it's gonna go all over the place. First, you're gonna crush it, just like this. And now the pressure cooker is going. It's gonna need some time. Ooh. And now we can roll it around, my friends. Roll it around. Get it done. Get it done. Spin it. Get it to a nice fine powder. This is how we're going to make today's marinade. It's going to be beautiful. Is it better to get a mortar and pestle or a molcajete first? Asks Bubza. So Bubza, that is also a beautiful question. To me, functionally speaking, they're different. In fact, I would like to get a bunch of different things. I don't actually own like a proper molcajete. Molcajetes are very nice to do wet things in. This mortar and pestle is a lot nicer to do dry things in, like spices. Molcajetes are very nice because they're very, very coarse. So you can really grind down like some chilies, you can really grind down some tomatoes, some tomatillos, some onions, whatever you have going on. Those are really, really good for that. So it just depends what you want to cook more of. For me personally, I just like the stone one because I'm not making pestos, I'm just grinding dry spices. And I use my blender for the wet stuff. So really, it's up to you. But let me tell you something right now. The texture of something in a molcajete is very special. I'm not going to fetishize it like a lot of other people do, but the reality is this. A blender purees something. A molcajete crushes and scrapes it. The texture of the two of them are different. One of them has blades that are slicing, being the blender, and a molcajete, you're using the coarse texture of the stone to really grind something up. And that way, you get to have ground up, say, tomato skins. You know what blades suck at? You know what blades suck at? They suck at pureeing tomato skins. You know what's very nice about a molcajete? You get to grind those tomato skins and you get to keep the texture of it really coarse and chunky. I love molcajetes. It's been so long since I've actually worked with one. This is, I mean, technically this also translates to a mortar and pestle, but it doesn't have like the coarse stone texture, right? Just keeping it all contained. So, nice fine powder, that's what we want. Was there salt in the spices that you were grinding? Asks Asnold, and the answer is no. There was already salt in the meat, and we're going to add some salt later on. You don't have to grind your salt or anything. It's just going to dissolve in liquid. Okay, give that one more shake. I see that we still have some big threads of cumin left. Okay, perfect. And now, we're going to go on over to my blender cup. This is where I'm going to be blending the rest of the components. Yeah, not fetishized, but it's very romanticized. That's right. It's very exaggerated. It's very romanticized. But I really, really love how the texture of it is very, very special. Okay? I just tend to say fetishized a lot. It is romanticized, is what it is. By a lot of people that don't actually know what it does differently. But really, the texture is very, very unique, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. So, my friends, we're going to go ahead and take all of this and we're just going to dump it on in. All of those spices, all of that fresh toasted cumin. And let me tell you something right now. This stuff is not your ordinary pre-ground cumin. I already talked about it. It's very, very special. It's toasted. It has so much more love and warmth. We only use whole toasted spices in here. Okay, let's keep this going. Let's keep this going. Let's get all those spices out. Sweet. Some more to get rid of. Excellent. Okay, this I'm going to clean up later on. Okay. Do I need cumin and anything else? I might, so I'm not going to put that away quite yet. So, that's done. Next, let's talk about the chilies. So here's a little trick that I picked up from Mr. J. Kenji Lopez Alt. The way that I've been previously doing my chilies, I've been sort of soaking it in hot liquid. What he says is that you can just toast something in a microwave for about 15 seconds, and then you can just sort of blend it up into stuff. So we don't have to do like what I usually do with the chilies, which is just to do like this nice long soak. But we still need to open these chilies up. We still need to prep these. It's all going to go onto this plate. This is where it's going to be microwaved. 15 seconds in there. Okay? Again, microwaves, they have their uses and potentials. So, let me go ahead and grab this. Let's open up this package. These are my ancho chilies. We're going to do, let's do 2 of everything. We're going to do 2 anchos. And again, each one of these chilies, they have something different to say. Chilies are full of so much character. You can't possibly be using some kind of generic pre-ground chili powder. You don't know what's in it. You don't know. It's not the same. Okay, next. Holy shit, is that a spider web? Wait, holy fuck, I think that's a spider web. Wait, maybe. Oh, fuck. This is full of spiders. Holy shit. Okay. I'm not fucking joking. Okay, I'm gonna bag this up and I'm throwing this shit away like right now. Holy fuck, how does this happen? Alright, I don't like bugs. I don't want to drop this. Please get out of my house. Please get out of my home. Okay. I'm not showing you guys the fucking cobwebs in here. Oh, I'm very bad with bugs. I'm not good with bugs. I'm not good with bugs. I'm not good with bugs. I don't know what kind of bugs these are. I don't know what kind of spiders. I'm not messing with them. I'm putting it in a bag. Goodbye. I'm sorry, Mr. Spider. You've got to go. How's that? Oh, I don't like spiders. I really don't like spiders. I don't like bugs. I don't like any of those guys. I'm tying this bag away. Goodbye. This needs to be thrown away ASAP after the stream. That was a whole cobweb. That was a whole system. I saw spider eggs. I didn't like that. Okay, now I'm gonna have to inspect all of these. So guys, no chipotles. No, these were from a different bag. These were the ancho chilies. These seem to be doing okay. These bad boys, yeah, they're alright. There's no spiders to be found in this one. Okay, don't say that there's this big spider in the sink. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, that made me very uncomfortable. My hands are like shaking. I'm not good with this stuff. Well, that sucks. Chipotles are just my favorite. I'm not gonna have any. Okay, I think we're fine. I don't think there's any more for us to worry about. No. There was a spider web. There was a cobweb. And then there was spider eggs inside. I saw white, yellow eggs. They did not look like seeds. They were a lot bigger and they were rotund. Okay. I am like shaking, but it's okay. So, these are the guajillos. These are fine. These are great. I'm now inspecting every single one of these. We're gonna do in total 3 guajillos. Everything's fine. This was not an expected development, but it's all gonna be okay. Should I go back to the store tomorrow and be like, hi, can you, what do I do, Lamau? I feel like I should do that. I'm also just gonna bag up the other ones now. What are my favorite animals? I don't know. I don't really love human animals. I just really, not human animals. I don't love IRL animals too much. I just really like Pokemon. That's a very strange answer to give, I know, but I'm just not crazy about a lot of animals. No, I've already thrown those away. Those are just gone. And I'm sure this kind of a thing happens. It's just, you know. Okay, everybody, we're back. I'm fine. Okay, there's no need to freak out. I hope you're all with me still. My favorite Pokemon is Gengar, and then I love Zorlurk and Absol. Bubza, stop freaking me out. Cut it out. What do you mean there's a small bug in the cutting board? No, that, oh shit, you're actually just right. Oh, this sucks. This sucks so bad. Goodbye. Fuck you. Leave this place at once. Where'd he go? You guys are actually just right. Okay, that was a little beetle. I'm taking a towel and wiping this off. I've never had dried bugs come in my dried chilies before. They were not welcome guests. Guys, stop freaking me out about this. I can't. I need you all to stop freaking me out and you just stop saying shit like that. Okay? I'm analyzing my environment now. We should be fine. There's nothing else here. Please, I'm genuinely asking you, please don't. Please, please don't. You guys are freaking me out. Please, this is a genuine cry for help. Okay. Everything's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. So here's what needs to happen. I gotta grab some kitchen shoes. I'm reassuring myself in the middle of all of this. Are those sun-dried? I'm not sure. I don't think they're like sun-dried. These are just dried chilies. Here's what we have to do. We have to go ahead, we have to take all these chilies. We're gonna have to open them up and get all the seeds out from the inside. I know that I made such a big deal about selling these. I really, really think that having dried chilies is important. And then I freaked out about the bugs. Okay guys, no more mention of them, please, unless it happens again. And please just let me know. So here's what you gotta do. You gotta open up the chili and you gotta take all the seeds out from the inside, okay? Take all the seeds out, take all of the white part out of the chili, and you're gonna do this to each one. Oof. Is it worth the time to dry peppers at home? That's a good question. I don't actually know. I've never tried to dry chilies myself. I don't know how it works with times and temperatures. Okay, next we open up this one. I believe this is the ancho. And so that's a good question, Uchiha. My hands might be burning a little bit after, especially handling the anchos. So that's a good reminder for me to go use some gloves instead. I'm gonna grab some gloves. Thank you for the reminder. Whew. Terrifying. Actually terrifying and horrifying. I never want any of that to happen again. Okay. Thank you for the reminder. What's the weirdest type I've ever eaten? Meat I've ever eaten? Asks Jack. Jack, I've eaten everything. I've eaten every single type of meat you can imagine. I've eaten snake. I've eaten crocodile, alligator. I don't know if I've eaten crocodile. I've definitely had alligator though. I've had, ostrich meat. I've had deer. I've had it. I mean, if we talk about weird, you're typically talking about game. I've had so many different organs. No, I've not eaten a zebra. Guinea pig. Yes, I've had cuy before, which is very popular in Ecuador. I remember I had a friend with an Ecuadorian family in high school. He would talk about cuy a lot, and then I ended up trying some at one point. Not from him, but that's like when I first heard about it. But I have no desire to really try other game, because at the end of the day, they're just all different gamey lean meat. Horse, yes, I grew up eating a lot of horse meat, a lot of horse sausages, because there could be quite a bit in, let's say, I think Uzbeki cuisine uses quite a bit of horse. I love horse meat, love it, especially in sausages. It's the best. Okay, we're finishing opening these up, my friends. Getting all the seeds out. And again, I'm using J. Kenji Lopez Alt's method on actually toasting the chilies. So we're just going to be throwing this into the microwave for about 15 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds. And that's all we need, just to toast the chilies a little bit. Okay, I don't actually know where the opening on this one is, so I'm just gonna tear it open. There it is, that's the seed pocket. Get rid of that. Horse is normie stuff, that's right. I mean, I just grew up eating a lot of it too. Not a lot of it, but on occasions and when we'd go out to certain restaurants. Although I don't know how they got it because I'm not entirely sure about its legality in some parts of the US. There's all kinds of stuff around it. Okay, my friends. We've officially de-seeded and opened up every single one of these chilies. Hopefully no more beetles inside. I'm gonna throw this away. Okay. So once again, we're not using chipotles. These are now just the guajillo and the ancho chilies. We're gonna spread them out nice and flat. 20 seconds into the microwave. And then we're gonna throw it into a blender. Just to get a very slight toast. Okay, let's have some water. So, next up, what do we gotta do? We gotta get some garlic in here. So we're gonna do about 2 to 3 cloves. Let's do 2 cloves. It's gonna be ground up, so it's gonna be, 3 cloves. 3 cloves. Okay, and the chilies are also officially toasted. Let's get those out of the microwave now. They're just a little bit more flexible now. You can really, really smell the aroma now. Excellent. Ooh, hot too. Okay, and now I'm just gonna throw this into my blender cup. Very sad that I won't have any chipotles, but I'm okay with it. We'll make it happen, we'll make it do. Just throw those in. They get really aromatic now. They're a little bit more pliable now too, so they'll blend up easier. Okay. Ooh, that is a hot chili. It smells almost like a raisin. These chilies, they smell almost like raisins. It's really, really fascinating. Okay. I don't love jellied eels. Jellied eels are not sweet. While we're on that topic, it's just not my thing. It's like if you like aspic, right? Or in Russian it would be холодец, then you might enjoy it. But it's just not very interesting for me to eat. They tend to be very bland, and a lot of people, they're not really used to eating that savory gelatinous texture. Raging waffle, you're fine. You don't have to worry about being off topic. Okay, this is now full of the toasted chilies. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into the dishwasher, as I have no need for that chili plate anymore. Next up, garlic. Let's get these cloves smashed on up. Smash it. Smash it. Smash it. Now we get those skins off. Pop them right out. Just like that. Ooh, this garlic clove isn't so good. We're gonna cut out most of it. Oh, actually the whole thing has to go. Kind of spoiled. Okay. Man, these garlic cloves actually just kind of suck. Huh. We're gonna have to be a little bit more careful with these. Okay. It was a little bit, but guess what? We cleaned it up. We got rid of the part that was squishy. We're fine. All right. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Good enough. It's all gonna get blended up, my friends. Now, throw in the garlic. Would I use blood for this sauce, chef? That's a good question. I love duck blood sauces, right? Like you would have like the pressed duck dish. That's where you would typically see something like that. Okay, sorry, I just had to check a notification really quickly. Okay, so last components are gonna be going in now. Camera, what is this color? Fix it. So, we gotta do some lime juice now. I don't know why my camera has decided to freak out. It's just not very happy at the moment. Okay, we got some lime juice. We're gonna use about 2 limes in total. Would be really nice if you also had some orange juice. That'd be a really good addition to something like this. Do I have to rehydrate the chilies to blend them, asks Droid? And the answer is, in this case, I did not. No. All we did, we don't necessarily need like a chili paste. We can still have it be in very like small pieces in there. It'll be just fine. Okay, lime. Let's squeeze it. Ooh, this is not a very juicy lime at all. Guys, there's nothing came out of this lime. What? There's almost nothing. This is the driest lime I've ever seen. What is going on? No, I don't believe in microwaving the lime. It's actually just an issue with the lime itself. There we go. It just needed a lot more squeezing. Does it have seeds? These limes do not. These limes do not. I don't know why some do and some don't. I would just imagine different varieties and like different genetically modified breeds of each. Yeah, that had almost nothing. I might just do this in a separate little bowl so that you guys can actually see this process. No, these are all in different places. Hut. Hut. Ooh, a lot of effort. Look how much lime juice came out of this. There's almost nothing. Hilarious, in fact. I'm just gonna poke the flesh a little bit. And hopefully we get some more out now. Yeah, that's already what I'm doing with my fingers. I'm just stabbing the flesh slightly and trying, and I don't mind if there's like a little bit of lime flesh. Okay, in fact, it's gonna be fine. This amount of limes is gonna be just fine. In fact, look at this. Now we have an actual juicy lime. We got very unlucky before. Look at this. Totally mogged by the Chad lime. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Would you juice it with a fork? No, not really. I'm just... A hand is fine, or get like a citrus juicer, like a handheld citrus juicer. Those are really nice. Okay. I don't have a thing to press limes, no. All right. Almost done. And get it in there. Excellent. Now that's plenty of lime juice. Nice and acidic so that it actually penetrates, but you don't want more than the 2 limes. Okay. I'm gonna switch out my gloves. I'm also gonna wipe down my knife because it was acidic and I have a carbon steel knife. And I don't want things to get messy in that department. Okay. Now, here's what we gotta do. I believe it's blending time. I think it's blending time. Now, I'm not adding the cilantro just yet. I'm gonna add the cilantro after I do the blending stage here. And the reason for this is because I don't actually wanna over blend my cilantro. Where's the olive oil? Oh, there it is. We're gonna do a couple tablespoons of olive oil as well. Also, Petrikov, thank you so much for the sub. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. We're doing a little glug of olive oil, not too much. You don't have to go too crazy with it. So remember, it being this acidic is essential to actually being able to penetrate the top 16th inch so that it is then able to properly marinate, okay? Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. So, Jack, I don't think it'd be overkill. Right now, let's just get to blending. So, I have that set up over there. Let's get my blender over here. And again, this is the only blender that I have available to me. I wish I could get a Vitamix. Go to my Throne page if you want to buy me a way too expensive a blender, if you're interested. Okay, I'm gonna throw the blade on. We're gonna blend all this up. And so, everybody, I like doing this separately to the cilantro and adding the cilantro after, because I don't wanna overblend and oxidize and destroy all of the flavor of the cilantro, okay? I only want to turn the chilies, the toasted spices, the garlic, only that stuff into like a really nice puree. Get that going. It almost got stuck. Okay, and we have this paste. It's a little bit too dry. It's a little bit too chunky. Here's what I'm gonna do. We're actually gonna add a splash of soy sauce to this. It's not traditional, but you're not gonna taste it. You are not gonna taste it, my friends. It's just gonna add a little bit more oomph to everything else, okay? A little splash of soy sauce. Going in now, boop, and 2. It's just gonna add a little bit more saltiness. And it's going to help me peel everything really nice and smooth. Not particularly traditional, okay? Actually, it might be traditional in some places. But you just need a little bit. You'll feel it. You won't taste it like soy sauce. Okay, let me see how this is going. Ugh. Yeah, a little bit of soy sauce is always like a really nice addition. Okay, so now I have like this really, really thick paste. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking we could probably do a splash of water as well just to thin it out a little bit. We're gonna do a little teeny tiny splash of water. Because again, I want this thin enough that it can coat everything, but not so thin that it's just all over the place, okay? I'm gonna try this again. Kind of want like a smoothie texture here. it's going. Go back in there. Let's shake it up one more time. It's not shaking the best, but we're getting it done. It'll just happen. Just kind of stuck to the sides. Lord, what I wouldn't do for a Vitamix. What I wouldn't do for a Vitamix. Where is my spatula? There it is. Now, let's scrape down those sides. Let's see how it's going. I'm spending so much time on this. Guys, today might be a very long stream. I got kind of thrown off by the spiders. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's still a little too much of a paste for me. I feel like that's gonna change once we add probably another splash of water. And we're gonna do a little glug of olive oil again. In here. Normally, it'd also be nice to do like some orange juice in here if we had like a little bit of extra sweetness. I don't think it needs it, but really the texture of this is kind of important. Okay, head back to the stove. And there we go. That's better. Okay, perfect. That's a little bit more of what I'm looking for, my friends. It's whipping up, and now we're going to go ahead and do the cilantro in here. Again, I want to add the cilantro later, because if we were blending it this whole time, it would just completely destroy it. Would avocado oil be better if available? No, I like olive oil here for the taste. Okay, little bushel of cilantro. I don't really know how much that is. I'm not really measuring here. Okay. I'm gonna just take this, I'm just gonna cut this all in half. You don't have to get too crazy with it. And now we're just gonna throw this in, stems and all. I'm feeling like I want more lime juice. No, it's plenty of lime. Okay, back to the stove. I'm gonna push all this stuff down. There's $1 hand's worth, that's right, it's a claw. It's a paw's worth. So whatever that means to you, that's how much you should use. Okay, I'm just cleaning this off and getting it back inside. Oh, it tastes delicious. I just tasted it as it is, pretty wonderful. That already has a lot of flavor. Okay. Get the blender back on. Hello? It got stuck. That was scary. That was really spooky for a second. What the fuck was that about? It actually just got stuck inside. That was crazy. All right, a little bit more blending. I was not crazy about that. Please don't do that again to me. Thank you very much. All coming together. Okay, I think that's finally it. This took a little bit longer than usual. This blender sucks. Yeah, I can always unplug it. So my friends, look at this beautiful, delicious paste that we have here, okay? And this is what we're going to cover our lovely skirt steak in. Full of chilies, full of cumin, coriander. It's got everything that you want to do. Okay, and now I need to think. Am I gonna do this in a bag? I think I'm gonna do this in a bag. So I'm gonna get a nice big freezer bag. I'm gonna load it up with my steaks. Curry slash, I'd prefer if you don't ask that question. That's a little weird. Okay. Let's head back to the stove so I can do this easily. This should have been done a while ago. I've had some delays, but that's fine. Happens to the best of us. So here's what we're going to do, my friends. I got my meat set up over there. I'm going to throw it into this freezer bag. First step, let's actually find a nice way to scoop it on in. You can do this in like a cup or something, where you just like take some kind of container that's like big enough, like this, so it can hold up on its own. So, what is the best way to reheat carne asada? Here's my answer. Don't actually cook more than you need. I would just have it in the fridge, maybe scrape off the marinade if there's too much of it, but I personally wouldn't reheat it at all. Okay, I'm getting all the marinade into the plastic bag, all the chilies, everything. And we're also gonna do a little splash of salt because it might dissolve some of the salt that we put into the meat already, okay? I know it's not the prettiest camera shot, but I need to get this done, my friends. Okay. Last little bit, we don't want to waste any. We worked so hard to make this. Actually, no, the salt is gonna be fine because of the addition of the soy sauce. It's gonna be okay. Let's head back to the stove now. No, there is no microplastics in that mystery, I promise. And now, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna open my bag up, my nice big freezer bag, and I'm gonna just throw the meat inside. Okay, these were pre-seasoned with salt. Oh, you mean do the freezer bags give microplastics? Nah, if they do, we already got plenty in the system that it's too late for us. And then I'm going to evaluate, can I fit any more meat in here once I've actually bagged this up and moved it around, okay? Get all this in there, get it all covered. I have a feeling that I can do the rest of my steaks because I have quite a bit of excess still. Let's throw it in, roll it up, 1 and 2. And now let's head back to the cutting board as I smush this all together. Okay, one little plate for it to sit on. And now the idea is really, really simple. We're going to close this. We're going to try our best to squeeze all the air out of it and mix it together. Okay, and then we just go in here, we mix all this stuff up. They did all fit, they did that. Okay. All of the marinade looking really, really good. All of it inside of the bag right now. Just moving it around, getting it into every single part that's covered. And then, my friends, we're going to leave this into the fridge until we're actually ready to cook with it. Did the beans cook already? Not quite yet. The beans currently have 6 more minutes on them. So this is a skirt steak murha. Okay, guess what? This is a carne asada right here, or rather carne asada to be. Chilies. We had the anchos and we had the guajillos. We have coriander, we have cumin, we have oregano. We have a little bit of soy sauce, and we have a lot of lime juice and cilantro. I'm just getting it all covered up now, making sure that it's all over the place. And this, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw into the fridge and wash off my hands. I'm gonna leave it there until we need it. Okay. Whew. I'm glad we got that taken care of now. That took a little while, but that's okay. Hi, let's have a recap. So, I know we had a couple of hiccups, but everybody, we're back into the flow of things. The meat is now currently sitting in the fridge, the skirt steak. We salted it in advance. We added our marinade. And in the pressure cooker at the moment, we have about 5 minutes left on the beans. The beans we did with some sazon, with some chicken bouillon powder. We did it with chorizo, with some onions and some garlic as well. Okay? So we put a lot of love, we put a lot of care and a lot of time and attention. And now, I'm gonna take a second before we proceed to just put some things away. Because the most important thing is for you to clean as you go in a kitchen. You are in a home kitchen. You do not have a professional dishwasher unless you do and you just have it like that. Okay? You have to clean as you go and then you won't have a mess later on. I promise, it will change your life. I'm just getting rid of all the stuff that I do not need for the time being. Okay, wiping off my station, wiping off my cutting board, especially the blended components. You really want to make sure that you're soaking that in some hot water to make sure that it doesn't dry out. Because cleaning anything that's been blended or pureed after it dries, as you may know, is impossible. Well, it's not impossible, it's just extremely unpleasant. So, do this now and you'll thank yourself later, my friends. Do this now. Oop, that fell over. Putting everything away that I can. What else do I have left? Thank you, Jack. Jack, I appreciate you going in there and telling everybody to say yes, chef. That is very sweet of you. I want to hear yes, chef. But next time, I'm the only one that can actually ask for yes, chef. I'm the only one. Sorry. I know you wanted to be nice, but you can't suck up to the chef. So I want to hear yes, chef now, but it comes from me and not from Jack. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Good. So, I'm soaking all the components that were used in the blending process, just to get that done and out of the way. I wonder if I'll even have time for you guys. Interesting. Okay, we've done a lot. Now, next step. We gotta make a pico de gallo, my friends. We gotta make a lovely little pico de gallo. And so we have to talk about a pico de gallo. So what is a pico de gallo? Is it a salsa? I'm not actually entirely sure. The texture of it I would probably best describe as a relish. But essentially, we're gonna have some tomatoes, we're gonna have some onions, we're going to have some cilantro, some lime juice, and some garlic with a little bit of salt and some jalapeno. And it's all gonna sit together. And I'm gonna show you how I do mine, because I put a lot of love and care and attention to it. And I have some very specific steps of how we actually go on to make it really, really special. And how to really get the most oomph out of it, okay? So, my keyboard glitched and I went to the wrong scene. So, let's head back to the cutting board. And now, we have these lovely little cherry tomatoes. I think it might be classified as a sauce. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really care about the classification as much as I care about getting a very nice pico de gallo. So, we have these lovely little cherry tomatoes. Still some of them with the stem. So I'm going to just pluck those off. And guys, I really like cherry tomatoes for the sweetness. Also, it's the time of the year where tomatoes tend to kind of suck. And these cherry tomatoes are nice and sweet. Okay. Everybody, number one, I need you all to understand something right now. The enemy of all salads, the enemy of all fresh produce, especially any fresh tomato applications, is moisture. So you've seen me do this 1,000 times with cucumbers, with tomatoes. We're going to slice these in half, and then we're going to heavily, heavily salt this. We're going to salt this. We're going to draw out all of the excess moisture from it so that we don't have a soggy pico de gallo. Okay? It's very important. If I were to take all these components and put it into a bowl and season it, what would happen is it's going to get very watery and liquidy, and it's going to be sitting there in its own liquid, and you're going to have a soggy pico de gallo. So here's what we do. We're going to take our cherry tomatoes. Let me think about the texture that you want. Think about the pieces that you want. For me, I'm going to slice these in half, and then I'm going to actually cut these into quarters. Nice and gentle all the way through. Cut these in half, cut them into quarters. And we're going to repeat this with all the tomatoes. You slice these, you don't chop these. You chop these, you squish and ruin your tomato. Okay? So we slice them instead. Use as much of your knife as possible. Also, guess what? The beans are now currently done, so we're going to give them a little bit of natural pressure release until we go on with the rest of the cooking for them. I don't know what that means, Munha. So, salt up your tomatoes. Excellent. And these are already pretty sweet. And again, salting it really helps the seasoned tomato through, and it gets rid of any excess liquid that would make it soggy. So we're just throwing all of these into a little bowl. They roll around. There's all sorts of tips and tricks online for people that want to cut cherry tomatoes quickly, but I am in no rush whatsoever. So that's a very good question. Dolingo Has My Family has just asked me. Let me reload this. I just want to show you guys this. So Dolingo Has My Family has asked, is that natural pressure release button on the Instant Pot? And the answer is no, it's not. All that it means to natural pressure release something is to just take it off the heat and then you let it slowly release its own pressure. To do a quick instant pressure release would be to flip the switch that then releases all the steam on top. So when I say natural pressure release, I mean we're just letting it stand 10-20 minutes before we flip that switch. It can take different amounts of time depending on how much liquid that you actually have. Okay? Take that. We're just continuing to slice up these cherry tomatoes. We're going to make a lovely little pico de gallo. Boop. And we're going to basically cut these onions into little teeny tiny pieces once we get to them, because we don't want harsh big bites of onion. I hate that. I want very, very, very tiny bits of the jalapeno, and I want very tiny bits of the onion. And the tomatoes, I want them to be the biggest component structurally. I don't want to bite into a big raw onion when I'm eating pico de gallo, okay? Jack, I don't want to do that. I want this to be a really, really sophisticated cooking show. So I'm going to say no to that idea. Okay, a few more tomatoes to go through. They get quite slippery. These are cherry tomatoes, of course. Okay. There it is, my friends. Okay, that's all done. Grab all those, throw them into the bowl, and guess what? We have now officially chopped up a nice little box of cherry tomatoes. And so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna season this with some salt. This is what I do for all of my pico de gallos. Anytime I'm doing a tomato salad, anytime I'm doing cucumbers, use a little too much salt, visually speaking. A lot of that salt is going to dissipate in the liquid that it releases. Salt it in a bowl, and we're gonna let this sit as long as we can. And then we're gonna drain off all of that excess liquid, my friends. Taste it now. Tastes a little too salty, and that's perfect. I promise you, once we drain these, they will be perfectly seasoned. A lot of that salt is gonna go away in the excess liquid. Okay. So for that amount of cherry tomatoes, visually speaking, I can tell you right now, we're only going to need about 1/4 of an onion. Only 1/4 of a big onion that we have. You can use as much or as little as you want. Everybody, these are not essential proportions. You can literally play around with these to get your own taste. There's no complex, molecular shit happening, okay? It's all about what you want out of your pico de gallo. I want 1/4 of an onion for mine. So here's what we do. Here's our onion. We're gonna cut it in half just like this. You see how much 1/4 of an onion is? It's a pretty huge onion. Okay. Next, I'm going to glove up yet again to protect my hands from eczema. Gloving on up. Okay. And now we're going to get rid of the onion peel. Right here. Little tiny pieces keep falling out. That's okay. So here's what we do, my friends. Here's what we do. We go in here. And we just slice this up really, really thin. We're making incisions all the way through to the end of the onion, making nice thin incisions. I want very, very thinly sliced onion. And then we go down here and we do the same thing. We make incisions. We're gonna basically fan this out, okay? We're fanning out the onion, just like so. And now, thin slices, all the way through. I don't think we actually have a mod raging waffle. We have a couple, they're just not here right now. Did something happen? Okay, take a look at the amount of onion that we have. I'm actually not going to need that much more. I might not even use all of this quarter of an onion. Okay. Let's see. Honestly, I'm going to stop right there. I don't want any more onion for the Pico de Gallo. Okay? That is going to be plenty. So, also, we got to talk about marination length for the meat really quickly. It's sitting in the fridge at the moment. You could get away with 30 minutes. You can get away with for an hour. Ideally, you want to hit like 3 to 6 hours, something like that. But it really doesn't matter after you hit like that 30-minute point. I'm not going to cook all of the steak at once. I'm actually only going to do 1 or 2 portions right now for myself, for the stream, because I don't like reheating steak and how chewy it gets. How do I store this remaining onion without it going off? Asks Rabbit. That's a good question. Little plastic bag, it won't go off. You can give it like 5 days in a fridge in like a plastic bag. You can just cover it in a little box. 5 days and it should be perfectly fine. You don't have to overthink this. Okay, all this onion, we're going to go ahead and throw that into a little bowl, or a big bowl rather. This is a bowl where the rest of the Pico de Gallo is actually going to go in. Remember, nice, thin chop that we got here, really thin slice. I see we still have some residual onion skin. Okay, grab it, throw it in your bowl. So, Jack, yes, you can use the onion peel for the stock if you so choose. You will just have to rinse it off because they're covered in dirt. You really want to wash it up well. Okay, onion, tomato sitting in its salt. Next, we're going to add the garlic, the jalapeno, and we're going to add the lime juice preemptively to try and kill some of the oomph, some of the pungency from the onion, okay? So let's do the jalapeno now. We're gonna do 1 jalapeno, seeds and all. So cut off the top. I want the seeds for the heat, okay? I want a really nice spicy Pico de Gallo. I don't like bland Pico de Gallos. So here's what we're gonna do, my friends. We're gonna take this. Well, actually, let me first see how spicy this is before going into it. Because every jalapeno varies. If the flesh is spicy, we don't have to add the seeds. Is that flesh just totally bland? It is. Okay. The flesh of the jalapeno was totally bland this time, but that means the seeds are always just going to be spicy, okay? So, slice, thin strips. Jalapenos, they really do vary sometimes, okay? But, promise you, this is how we get them to be nice and consistent. This time we do the seeds. Seeds, thin. You want the jalapenos to evenly distribute. Okay, thank you for stopping by, Serena. Hope you have a beautiful day today. Slice all this up. Excellent. You want some nice, finely diced jalapeno. You don't want to bite into a huge thing of seeds or anything. Slice. All the way through. And now I'm going to see how spicy the jalapeno is with the seeds. I think half a jalapeno with the seeds in is fine. For this amount of, we're not making a lot of Pico de Gallo. I think half a jalapeno in this case is perfect. Okay. Throw that into the bowl. That was a spicy jalapeno that time. The flesh wasn't, but all the heat was in the seeds. And now, please don't touch your eyes. I know it's a little obvious, just don't. You'll make a huge mistake. All right. Jalapenos. Next up, some limes. Want to get some more lime juice in here. Now, we don't need a crazy amount of limes, or lime juice rather, because we have some acidity coming in from the tomatoes, and it's also going to bring a lot of the liquid as well. But right now, it's going to help add a little bit of fruitiness to the whole thing. And it's going to help to tone down the onion, right? So it's not just a burning hot raw onion that you're biting into. The lime basically like cooks it in its own way a little bit. Okay. in its own way. So you need sometimes half a juice. This is not a particularly juicy lime this time either. Yep, so we're gonna use both halves. But normally I don't add a lot of acidity to things that have a tomato in it. But again, I really, really like the way that it contrasts the tomato. And we're losing a lot of the tomato moisture, so we can get away with doing the lime juice. We're not gonna get too wet of a Pico de Gallo or anything. How old are those limes? I bought them today, so who knows? I have no idea. Okay. And now, last step, we're actually gonna add a little bit more salt. Remember, there's salt in the tomatoes, but a lot of that salt is gonna dissipate. So we wanna make sure that we're also seasoning these components here as well. Some onions, some jalapenos, and soon we'll add the cherry tomatoes in here as well. Excellent, and this is the start of a lovely Pico de Gallo, and you can already see the cherry tomatoes are swimming in their own liquid. We do that in a bowl so they get to really sit in that salty liquid, and it's gonna dry out a lot. Okay, take that glove away now. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this onto this plate. It wasn't behind me. I'm gonna move this aside. And I'm gonna take a second to clean up my cutting board. This is why having a bench scraper is really, really nice. Take a look. Any scraps, anything that you have left over, just get rid of it all. Scrape it up. Use exactly what it says. Oh God, did I just use my naked hands for this? Oh, I'm gonna forget and I'm gonna touch my eyes at some point. It's inevitable. Okay, wipe everything down, wipe my knife off. Okay, and let's have a little recap. What did we get done and what do we still have left to do? So, at the moment, the beans have officially finished cooking. We're letting them slowly and naturally release their own pressure, okay? So that we get really, really tender and fully cooked through beans. If you did an instant pressure release, you run the risk of having some beans that are really firm. After that, we're going to reduce it so that the beans are basically in their own sauce. Okay, next, in the fridge at the moment, I'm going to show you the package. I have a bunch of skirt steak sitting with the marinade that we made. We toasted our own cumin seeds, we toasted coriander seeds, okay? We threw in some oregano. We toasted up some ancho chilies and some guajillos. And we add a little splash of soy sauce and some lime juice, okay? And that is just now currently all sitting together. The acidic marinade is gonna really like kind of chew up like the top thin surface of the skirt steak and get some of those spices in that distributed layer. And the skirt steaks in advance, we had already seasoned them. Right? We already hit them with a lot of salt. And now you guys can see, this is what it looks like. Just get it all around there. Beautiful. This is gonna make the carne asada for today. And I do wanna make an experiment. I wanna see, is it possible for us to do a carne asada under the broiler? I wonder if I preheat the broiler onto high and I do the carne asada under that. And I think I'm gonna do one on a pan and then like really, really compare the two. And then we also finished doing the prep for the Pico de Gallo. So we have the onions and we have the tomatoes. The tomatoes are separately salting, so we get rid of all the excess liquid. And then we're gonna add them back into the onions that have the lime juice in them. Okay? I'm gonna put a couple of other things away. I don't think I need my spices anymore, do I? Not entirely sure. The pan where I cook the chorizo, that can definitely go. Actually, no, wait. Am I going to fry some onions for the rice? I forgot about the rice, I can't lie. I'm trying to think, am I even willing to do rice now? Yeah, guys, you gotta have rice with the rice and beans, right? Indispensable, huh? So I think I'm not going to forgo that. I'm not gonna be lazy. I'm gonna do it as intended. I think we'll just get started on the rice prep and I'll show you what we do for it. We just have so many things going on that I briefly considered it for a second, but I've ultimately decided we gotta do the rice. Okay, I'm gonna show you how we do it, my friends. So, I have a little bit of theory, I have a thought, I have something I wanna share with all of you. I'm doing my rice a little bit differently. I am not going to fry everything in one pot and then pour in water and then add it together, and I'm gonna tell you why. How many times have you made Spanish rice and gotten a very like sort of burnt layer on the bottom, or the rice is kind of mushy because you weren't able to manage your moisture? I like cooking my rices in very clean water, basically just plain liquid. or chicken broth or something. I don't like cooking rice in thick liquid because it becomes very difficult to gauge how much moisture is actually in there that the rice will then be able to soak up. What I like to do is in a separate pan, fry up the onions, fry up the garlic, okay, fry up all the stuff for it, and then add that into the cooked rice, mix it through, and then let it sit, okay? So that way, you're able to really control and nail the texture of your rice while still building up some flavors in a different pan. I've also realized we neglected something. After having put away the cilantro, I didn't slice any for the Pico de Gallo. You gotta have cilantro in the Pico de Gallo. I was like, I know I'm missing something and I don't know what it is. It was a cilantro. Okay. Let's get that cilantro out one more time. And then we're also gonna have some sliced cilantro for garnish. Maybe even fold some into the rice after. So this, my friends, is for the Pico de Gallo now. And I don't like the stems. I'm gonna pick the stems off. Throw away all the stuff in my trash bowl. Always having that next to my cutting board. Where's my towel for this? I had a towel for the knife. Okay. We're gonna pick off the leaves from the stems. Get it all off. I don't like the texture of the stems. And there's cilantro everywhere in this type of cooking. Every single component, minus the beans. There's cilantro in everything. There's cilantro in the meat. There's gonna be cilantro in the rice. There's cilantro in the Pico de Gallo. You have to have it. Now, I forgot why the cilantro looks like that. Something about like different stages of it. So yeah, pick it off the stems. You don't necessarily have to. I still got some of the jalapeno stuck in my throat. Is everybody following? Once again, while we're on this stage of doing stuff, I do really want to encourage everybody, if you have any kinds of questions or concerns, please, please, please just let me know. I'm happy to answer and I'm here to help you cook, okay? I'm really excited about the carne asada itself. The trick to like a really good carne asada, you want to have like a really nice medium cook throughout. You want like the inside to not even just be pink, you want it to almost be raw. And you want the outside edges of it to be like really, really crispy. That is my ideal texture for a carne asada. You want like those crispy burnt edges. Oh, it's the best. Unfortunately, we won't be getting any smoky flavor because of the lack of chipotles. The chipotles are so important. Man, why do they have to have spiders in them? I'm gonna go back to that store after the stream. I think they'll still be open and be like, hi, what happened? Maybe get my like $2 back. Okay. Slicing it up. We're never chopping cilantro. We're only slicing. Only slicing, using the full length of it. Okay? So, Dolingo, as my family asked, do you avoid Chinese food often because it's very sugary? The answer is, I wish I did more, only because I'm trying to not eat a lot of sugar, but I just love so much Chinese food, man. It's the best. Oh, especially Shanghainese food, which isn't necessarily Chinese food, but oh, I hate how sweet the chashu is, but it's so, so, so good. I love chashu. So basically, it's a little treat for me. I try my best not to eat a lot of sugar. Okay. How do I like that Creamery Chef's Knife asks dark chocolate? How long have I had it? I've had my eye on the Damascus one. Don't get a Damascus one, get a carbon steel one. Damascus is just kind of for the looks and the aesthetic of it. I love it. It is one of the most comfortable knives I've ever owned. I have the carbon steel one. It's great. Jack asks me, do I drink sodas? And the answer is I do not. I haven't had a soda in quite some time. I only drink seltzers though. So again, just continuing my I don't eat sugar thing. Okay, into the Pico de Gallo, right? This was the onions and the jalapeno. Remember, the tomato's still separate. We're going to need about this much for the Pico de Gallo itself. And the rest of that is gonna go into the rice, okay? This is gonna go into the rice, and maybe some garnish as well later on if we're feeling like it. But I feel like I don't even want cilantro as a garnish because I have so much of it in other places. Okay, and now my friends, we have to think about what is actually gonna go into the rice itself. We're going to make a essentially fried onion to go alongside all of it. We're gonna cook the rice, we're gonna get it really nice and tender, it's gonna be lovely. So, let's begin that process now. I am using some Haiga rice. This stuff, I managed to drop everything in the kitchen, don't I? This is Haiga rice. Okay? This has the germ of it still intact. So it's not like brown rice, it doesn't have the bran, but it has the germ. So there's a little bit more fiber, it has a little bit more nutritional value than white rice, has the taste of brown rice, but the texture of white rice. It's my favorite rice to use. I've been using it all the time lately. And so, I'm gonna go ahead and take Twitch chat on my phone. Yeah, Dusky, I explain Haiga rice every single time. Okay, I'm taking you guys on my phone. I'm gonna be washing the rice. Bear with me for a moment while I get all this done. But yeah, we're just gonna wash this until it's nice and clear, and you'll see what we do with it. Anybody else likes pickles with their beans? Curslash, I've never had pickles with beans in my life besides, I guess, pickled onions. We have a lot of components, my friends. We have a lot of components to deal with. And then I'm going to show you all what the pot of beans looks like. Okay, just washing this until it's clear. And typically for a lot of Mexican rice dishes, you would fry up your rice in a little bit of oil. You would toast it. I don't do that because I like washing my rice. And I'm going to fry all the other components. It does change the texture quite a bit. So if you are going to fry it, you would have to like not wash your rice, I suppose. Okay. Although a lot of people have been actually arguing lately about the efficacy and even the importance of washing rice or the lack thereof in recent time. So I don't know. Okay. And now, my friends, let's head back on over to the cutting board really quickly. So why do people wash rice? To get rid of any sort of like little dust particles on it and to get rid of any excess starch. But people might argue that the excess starch part isn't all that true. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a little bit of tomato paste in here. Just for the color, we're gonna have more tomato paste in the fried onions. A little tomato paste. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people really grew up doing that. And it's very important to them culturally to wash your rice. Okay, a little tomato paste. I love it in a tube. We're gonna have more tomato paste later on, so don't you worry about that. Okay, next, we're going to do a little bit of the chicken bouillon. Just a little bit. We don't have that much rice here, so be careful. And then we're gonna fill this up with water, and I'm gonna show you how much water to use. Now, remember, all of the water that you put in, more or less, will be absorbed. The more water you add, the stickier your rice is gonna be, the more gloopy. The less water you add, the more granular it's gonna be. So to me, this much above the rice is my perfect ratio, so that it has the granularity that I want without it being like too toothsome, but it's still not gloopy. Okay? That is my favorite ratio. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up. And again, don't worry about the seasoning on this. We're going to have the fried onions and the garlic be nicely seasoned and salted, and that's gonna get mixed into the rice, okay? So just mixing in the tomato paste, mixing in the chicken bouillon. You can see the quantity of water that we have above it. Beautiful. And no, I don't cook with nutritional yeast. I have no need for it. Okay, I'm gonna move some stuff off of my stove really quickly, just so that I have the space to be able to do this. Okay, get in there. Why isn't it going in properly? Come on. Go inside, thank you. Okay, my friends, let's head to the stove. Let's reorganize. Let's get some stuff together. This is the pan where the onions will be frying. This is where the carne asada is going to be happening. I'm just going to throw that into the oven for now until we're ready to eat it. We're ready to use it. How long have I been cooking? I have been cooking for my whole life, basically since I was like 8 or 7. Okay, and now here's what we do, my friends. We're going to take the rice, we're going to put it onto a medium heat, drop it to low. Once it starts boiling, cover it and cook it 20 minutes. Okay? Ooh. Remember, you can't really overcook rice timing-wise, but what you can do is scorch the bottom. If your heat is too high or if you cook it for too long, you'll dry out the bottom of it, and you can definitely undercook it. You can definitely 100% undercook it. It might not absorb all the liquid. So 20 minutes is my sweet spot. 18 to 20 minutes or so after it brings up to a boil. Bring it to boil, drop to simmer, lid 20 minutes. Big Zach. Do it my way, you'll never mess up rice. What you have to remember, don't stir it once it's cooking. Do not stir it and don't add too much liquid. You want to add the same amount of volume of water as your rice, and then a little bit above, depending on how soft you want your rice. It's super easy, and you can make it really consistent. Now, if you're eating a lot of rice all the time, you might want to get a rice cooker. I don't have the space for it in a New York apartment. I just do not have the space to do that. Okay. So here's what has to happen now. I gotta make the seasoning for the rice. We gotta make rather the fried onions that are going to go in it. Okay, fried onions, fried garlic, it's great. Is there any ingredients you absolutely avoid using? I don't know, that's a good question, Duolingo. Everybody, recap session. Guess what? The beans are done cooking. The carne asada is marinating, and we'll give it a little bit more time for the acid to really take effect. And now, I'm going to show you all the beans. I'm going to release the pressure on it. It's going to take a second, and then I'm just going to put that onto the stove. And then we'll chop up the onions that we need, and it's going to be awesome. Our rice is going to be super, super delicious. Okay? And I'm not going to go crazy with like seasoning the rice with stuff like the cumin and whatnot, because all of that is already present in the beans in the carne asada. We don't have to get too crazy with all that. Okay. This, my friends, is a beautiful pot of black beans. Take a look. Actually, you can't really get that good of a look. Let me just scoop some up from the bottom to show you. These are delicious, soft, tender black beans because we let it naturally release its pressure. Now, here's the thing. We gotta take that onion out. We gotta take the garlic cloves out. They've already done their job. They've imparted a lot of sweetness. So I'm just gonna grab the spoon. You don't wanna break it apart. You just wanna grab a nice big piece of it. Awesome, and away it goes. Then we can go ahead and fish out each of the garlic cloves as needed. Get it all out of here. It's okay if one of them remains. It's not gonna be too pungent. It is just fully cooked through boiled garlic. So none of that pungency was produced because we never really chopped it up. But it's just done its job for us. Okay? And now, okay, everybody, you see this cooking liquid? You can stop here if you would like, but I like my beans saucy. I'm gonna try this. Already delicious. And don't salt it anymore because you don't know how salty your chorizo and bouillon was. Okay. Oh, I love olives, but let me tell you, most people, they just grew up with really bad olives available to them. Most olives suck if you're eating like the canned olives. They're pretty brutal, and that's what people like associate with pizzas and stuff. And that's how they most often have it. Okay. Set that up nicely. Okay, I'm going to have my beans back into the pressure cooker, and I'm just gonna have it on a high heat. Not pressure cooking, just to boil it away. Saute, medium, high heat. And all we're doing is we're reducing that liquid until it's really, really saucy. We want it to build the sauce for the beans. It's gonna get delicious. The viscosity is gonna be amazing on it. Okay, the rice is boiling. We drop it to a simmer, put on a lid, kitchen timer for 20 minutes. I'm gonna get my other pan preheating again on a medium-high heat. And now we have a little bit of a time crunch. We have a little bit of a time crunch, my friends. We have to slice up the onion. This is gonna go into the rice. You want a medium to small dice. We're gonna fry up all of that onion. We're gonna fry up some garlic. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be really flavorful. And then we're gonna finish it with a little bit of tomato paste. So, onion. Remember this half onion that we left over, or this quarter onion? Let's finish the job now. Just go through it all. Already cutting it up into cubes. Nice medium to small dice on the onion. Do I ever listen to music while cooking? Asks Raging Waffle. And the answer is yes. I listen to a lot of Pokemon music when I cook. A lot. We have this other quarter of an onion that we have to get rid of. And remember, all that was on that pan from before was the chorizo, and I didn't feel the need to clean it off or anything. We're just going to heat it back up again. So, medium to small dice, making incisions on the onion so that it stays together when we cut it. It's like magic. And now, just like this. Okay, goodbye, Raging Waffle. Lovely to have you. Is everybody still watching? Is everybody else still watching? I want to hear goodbye, Raging Waffle. I want to hear yes, chef, and I want everybody to say goodbye to Raging Waffle, please and thank you. Okay, let's get that onion. Let's get it onto this plate. Use the bench scraper, that's what it's for. Scraping up your bench, getting stuff over transferred. Excellent. Okay, that pan is heating up nicely again. Make sure the heat on your rice isn't too high, otherwise you'll burn the tomato paste on the bottom. Next, we're gonna have to worry about some garlic again. We're gonna have to worry about some garlic. Okay, get your garlic, get it peeled. We're gonna need, let's do 2 cloves. For that amount of rice, we'll do 2 cloves. We won't do too much garlic. There's plenty of garlic and everything else. Okay. We'll worry about that in a second. Let's head to the stove. The pan is heating up nicely. We don't want that pan too hot. Remember, it still has all the chorizo fond on it. In this case, we're going to do a little bit of avocado oil, only because it's a nice, like, high heat cooking oil. Okay? And that is what we'll fry our lovely onions in. Oh, I have so much stuff going on in the kitchen, my friends. So much. Okay. We'll grab a new coaster, we'll grab a little spoon, and this is gonna be for the rice. And at the moment, the pot of beans is also boiling away on my pressure cooker. You guys can't see it. One day we'll get a separate camera view for it. Not today. And we wanna get it nice and saucy. We want it nice and rich. Okay, we don't want watery beans. So avocado oil, is really nice for like high heat cooking applications. It's what I use it for. Okay, and all the stuck bits on the bottom, the released liquid from the onions is gonna do a good job of taking care of it. So, that's hot enough. We don't need it to be too hot. Throw it all in. Excellent. Next, we're gonna hit this with some salt. Give it a little shake. Get that salt mixed through, shake it up, and we're gonna leave this for a little bit. Next, head back to the cutting board. I'm gonna grab my favorite tool, the garlic press, because we're gonna press some garlic now, okay? One, 2, smash it so we can get the skin off of it easy. That's 1 garlic clove, and that's the second one. Excellent. Let's get all these garlic skins off our station. I'm gonna give the onions now a stir and a scrape. Make sure nothing is sticking and burning on the bottom. Looks good. Okay, lovely. And now we still have some spoiled bits on certain parts of the garlic that I just want to trim up, because we don't need that in our lives. You gotta cut out toxic and rotting people in your lives, my friends. Good night, Jack. Thank you for being here. Okay. Now, we're gonna press this garlic out. 1, 2, ooh, and 3. I love garlic presses. You don't have to get your cutting board all sticky. Just saves you so much time. And it's a lot more pleasant to do. Okay, this I'm going to make sure I'm running it over some water now to make sure it doesn't dry up. Everybody, I want you all to watch the stove, watch those onions. Make sure they don't burn for me, please, and thank you. Okay. Excellent. The garlic is already prepped. We'll add that in just a little bit. I don't think I need the cilantro for anything else today. We've used it as many places as we can. Okay, it is getting a little scorched on the bottom. That's totally okay. We just want to stir this around now. We really want to fry up these onions. We might even do some more fat. I don't think I have enough fat in this pan. A little bit of olive oil, because why not? All of this is going to go into the rice. Fry those onions, my friends. Fry them good. Excellent. Whew. Lot going on. Checking on the beans now. The beans are getting to the consistency that we want them. Scrape the bottom of it. And then soon enough, I'm just going to kill the heat on that. And we'll have a perfect pot of beans. Okay, everybody, guess what? We're in the final stages of everything. The last step for us is actually going to be cooking the steak. And I do want to do an experiment of doing it under the broiler to see that if we can get that done that way. I might even just do that now. And if it is done that way, it'll just be really good for us. And I'll talk to you, of course, about everything that goes into cooking skirt steak and about how it's different from other cuts of steaks and what you can and cannot do. And what your general rule of, sort of approaching it is like. Though I know you talk safety, I'm a big safety fan. Any safety tips regarding the gloves for fans? So, I use gloves too much in a kitchen. You really shouldn't use as many gloves as me. I use them this much for camera presentation reasons. It's a little bit wasteful. And also because I have eczema. You should be using gloves whenever you're cutting up limes. You should be using gloves when you're cutting up limes, okay? And the reason for that is because limes and lemons and anything acidic that you're handling, those are just going to be rough for everybody's hands. Especially, let's say I dropped my towel. Let's say you work in food service and you have to deal with like a lot of it every single day. It gets really bad for your hands over time. And so it's less about food safety for other people, and it's more about safely handling things for yourself, so that you get to protect your hands from all those different acids. And also, it's very nice when you're dealing with spicy chilies, because spicy chilies and the like, they tend to, of course, stick to your hands, and then you can't really touch your face. And also, it's nice to handle raw meat with it, because then you don't have to clean or wash your hands after. Okay. The onions are just about done. They're just about where I want them to be for this rice. Just scrape up anything that could be stuck to the bottom. Let's get the garlic in here. Let's turn down the heat. The garlic is susceptible to burning. That's why we always add it after the onions. You never want to start by just cooking your garlic first. You're going to get a lot of burnt garlic that way. We're going to fry up the garlic in total for maybe like 30 seconds. We're going to get our tube of tomato paste ready to go. Yeah, oh. Did I just squish a bunch of tomato paste onto the floor? Yes, I did. Okay, first step, first priority, I'm gonna take my garlic off the heat and make sure that doesn't burn. We're just gonna take that off. Guys, I squished a bunch of tomato paste onto the floor. Oh, how am I this messy in a kitchen? It's actually insane. I need to be studied. I need to be studied because I keep coming up with new ways to do something stupid. If something like that happens, just take your stuff off the heat. Take it off the heat. I don't want to burn my garlic. I don't want to ruin this dish. Okay, and I gotta finish cleaning this up. That sucked, but luckily it was an easy fix. Okay, guess what? The garlic is now perfectly fried. We're gonna turn the heat back on. And I'm gonna add a little bit of tomato paste for this to now fry as well for the rest of the rice. Okay? Add that on in, mix it around, fry off the tomato paste, and then we're gonna kill the heat. And then this is just gonna get added to the rice once that's done cooking. Add that in, fry it up, get rid of that like raw, unpleasant tomato paste flavor. Beautiful. A little bit longer. Guys, I apologize for how chaotic everything has been. I really, really do. I'm trying my best over here. Okay, we can kill the heat now. Let's get it off the heat, and we're just gonna keep mixing it to cool it all down. Right? We don't want garlic to burn, we don't want the tomato paste to burn. We just want to keep it all moving. You could take this and put it into a different little dish, which I actually just might do instead, just to make sure it really won't overcook and burn. So I'm going to put that into where I originally put the coaster. Fried onions, fried tomato paste, and fried garlic with a little bit of salt. And that, my friends, is going to get added to the rice, and we'll have something very beautiful. Excellent. Whew. The rice is almost done. At the moment, it has about 8 minutes left on it. The seasoning for the rice is all finished, which is excellent. Okay, we have a couple things to do still. I gotta go stir the beans, make sure that's going well and as intended. You gotta scrape up the sides, scrape up the bottom. We wanna get nice, thick, delicious beans. The Carne Asada is still in the fridge. Whew. Hi, everybody. We've done so much. We have the seasoning for the rice done. The rice is almost done cooking. We have the beans going, they're reducing, and we have the Carne Asada marinating inside of the fridge. And then soon enough, once that rice is done cooking, we'll add in that seasoning that we just made with the fried onions, the tomato paste, and the garlic. It's gonna be wonderful. And we'll also add the fresh cilantro on it to that whole little fill. And now I'm just taking a second to clean some stuff off. I no longer need my tomato paste. I'm gonna throw that back into the fridge. Remember that you are cooking at home, okay? You are cooking at home, you have to clean as you go. Otherwise, you'll end up with a big messy kitchen at the end of it, and you're never gonna wanna cook again. You have to manage and understand what your downtime is like. And then, my friends, we also did the Pico de Gallo. I'm gonna show you all that right now. We salted those tomatoes in advance so that we can get all the excess liquid out of them. And now is gonna be the time that we drain that excess liquid. So we talked about it, and now it's time to do it. So, I'm gonna show you what that process is like. Guess what? That's the bowl, that's the waste bowl. And these, my friends, are the salted tomatoes. They're swimming in their own liquid. All you're gonna do, you're gonna take a cute little strainer of some kind. I gotta find one. Ah, I found the cutest, littlest strainer that there ever was. I'm gonna pop it in. I'm gonna dump those tomatoes out. And look at all of the liquid escaping it that would have otherwise ended up in the Pico de Gallo. Also, welcome on in, little Adrian. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. So shake it, and you're gonna wanna let it sit over the strainer for a little bit as well. And those tomatoes are not over salted. A lot of that excess salt dissolved in its liquid. It's a really good texture now. And that, my friends, is going to get added into all of this. This is the cilantro, the jalapenos, the onions, and the lime juice. And it's sitting with the lime juice so that we can take some of the bite away out of the onions. And the tomatoes we salted to get rid of the excess liquid and to season them simultaneously. We're getting rid of a lot of liquid here, my friends. Okay, Well, Adrian, you missed almost everything besides cooking the meat itself. That's going to be happening soon. Once I'm done with the rice, once the beans have finished reducing, I'm actually, you know what? I think the beans, they just need like 3 more minutes on it. And that'll be done too. Awesome. I'm putting stuff away that I do not need anymore. I don't need my spices for anything anymore. Just taking a second to do all that so I can stay organized for all of you. Okay. Hi. Welcome back. So, tomatoes. We got rid of the excess liquid. Give them a little shake. Don't beat them up too much. You don't want to destroy the tomatoes, of course. And into the onion, into the lime juice. It all goes. And then we're just going to mix this up and give it a taste and see if it needs anything. It's a really, really simple pico de gallo. Just jalapenos, just some onions, just some tomatoes, just some lime juice. But we timed everything so that we got the most out of using the salt. Okay, my beans are almost done. Give it a few more minutes. Remember, reduce that bean cooking liquid and you'll have an amazing sauce. Wait, 1996, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Also, T, thank you so much for the raid. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. How are you, my little T champ? So, my friends, look at the pico de gallo. Look at the pico de gallo. Look at this, beautiful. Made of the cherry tomatoes that we quoted. We salted it to get rid of the excess liquid. We put lime juice in the onions. We added half a jalapeno with the seeds in to get that heat. And we added some cilantro for the freshness. That is a beautiful little pico de gallo. Excellent. And I like my onion pieces and jalapeno pieces to be super tiny. And I like big pieces of tomato. Okay, I don't like getting too big of pieces of onions. They get to be too pungent. Hope you had a good stream, team. It's good to see you. Okay. Oh. Delicious. That is so good. That is a perfect little pico de gallo. Incredible. I am going to go ahead and toss that into the fridge. Amazing. Really, really acidic, really salty, really sweet from the tomatoes. That is a perfect pico de gallo. We're playing Dark Souls 2. I hated Dark Souls 2. Hated it. And now we're almost done with the rice. In fact, we have about 2 minutes left on it, which is fine. The rice is cooked. Everybody, let's head to the stove. I'm going to show you what we do. I want to hear a yes, chef, please. Tia, I want to hear a yes, chef from you too. Let's head on over to the stove. This is the rice. And again, it's nothing too exciting quite yet. Okay, it just had some tomato paste, just some chicken bouillon. And now, we're going to go ahead and add in all of the fried onions, the tomato paste, and the garlic into the rice right now. And then, we're going to add some of the freshly sliced cilantro. Ooh, I hope you have fun, tea. Okay, all of that goes in now. The bottom always tends to get a little scorched, so try not to mix in the bottom if you can help it. Just scrape it all up and mix that rice in with those lovely seasonings. Okay? Mix it all in, my friends. Mix it in. And that is how we get my seasoned rice. Really, really simple, not too spicy or anything, because that's going to all be provided by the beans and the carne asada itself. So I like intentionally leaving my rice to be a little bit bland. Okay? Let's make sure it's fully mixed in. You want to get rid of any like empty, bland pockets of rice still that haven't been covered. We're going to taste it. Amazing. Cover it, and now you just got to let it sit. That's all it takes. Hello, Jackie. Hope you're having a good day today. Is this Jersey? I'm not sure what you're asking me not now. So, yeah, it's kind of like yellow rice, except we did it really simple. All we did was just tomato paste, onions, a little bit of chicken bouillon, a little bit of garlic as well. And then we mix it in after the rice was cooked, because when you cook it all together with the rice, you tend to really have a hard time managing your moisture. Okay. I believe my pot of beans is done, and I'm going to show it to all of you now. The pot of beans has finished reducing, my friends. It's really, really good. Let's head to the stove again. And you can see how much of the liquid we've reduced. We've made it really nice and thick. So let's grab my spoon that I have dedicated for this task. Beautiful. Remember, never discard that bean cooking liquid. It's really, really magical. And that's how you get a delicious thick pot of black beans, my friends. I don't know if you can see that all that well. Let's try it like this. That's a little bit better, but we'll figure that out at some point. Beautiful pot of black beans. Seasoned with chorizo, with onions, with garlic, with sazon, and with some chicken bouillon. And now, guess what we're gonna do? And if you guys taste it, you would absolutely be correct. I'm gonna throw some more dishes into the dishwasher while I have a second. We'll have a second of time. That's right, that's how I like my beans. I like them thick and I like them saucy. That is up to you and your preference, but this is the best part of it, when it really soaks into the rice. Okay. Let's have a little taste. My friends, only thing it needs is a big hit of salt. I don't know how much salt I would have needed for it, but let me tell you, it's meaty. You're getting that like really complex flavor out of the chorizo. You're getting that like sort of like a mysterious bitterness from the annatto seeds that was in the sazon. You're getting the meatiness from the chicken bouillon. That is a very, very special pot of beans. I don't mess around when it comes to beans. I really do not. That is a serious pot of beans, my friends. And I've never tried feijoada. Is that how you say it, feijoada? Okay, let's give that a little taste. And now the salt is perfect. Oh. When you get that little bite of chorizo in there, it is the best. That, my friends, is a very special pot of beans. That is not an ordinary pot of beans. Okay? That is deep, that is flavorful. It has meat in it. It has spices in it. It has bouillon in it. We give a lot of love to those beans, my friends. Okay. It's a Brazilian black bean stew. Honestly, that sounds really up my alley. I would love to make that sometime. Okay. My friends, we have done everything except cook the carne asada itself. What do you think? Is it time to cook? Is it time? I want to hear a yes, chef, please. Everybody, I want a unanimous yes, chef from everybody. That's right, that's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna put my pot of beans away. I have no more use for that at the moment. This I'm still gonna need for the rice. Put that away. I'm also gonna put this dirty pan away into the dishwasher. And now we can begin talking about the carne asada itself. So, let's head over here. This is where we're gonna be slicing up our steak. Okay? I'm going to just move all of this stuff aside. We don't need it. And I'm gonna clean up the station with the wet paper towel that we snuck away under it. You see this bad boy? Pick it up. Pick everything here up. Let's get my table nice and clean. And dump that all into the waste bowl. Keep your station clean, my friends. And then we'll take a look at a beautiful carne asada. And I'm not gonna cook all of it right now. I wanna cook some of it later. I wanna cook some of it to order, basically. And there is one test that I wanna do. There is one experiment, which is I wanna see if I can actually make some under the broiler. And I'm gonna set that up right now. And if I can, awesome. And if I can't, that's okay. We'll move on and live our lives. Okay, I'm gonna have that be right there. So I wanna see if we can do it under the broiler to see if I can actually do larger batches. And if not, I'm gonna do one steak at a time on my carbon steel pan. Yes, I will have to do that. So I'm just gonna preheat the broiler now. And then if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to do this on my pan. Okay? So, let's prep the broiler sheet. This is a sheet tray with a wire rack, and the wire rack is going to help anything that's dripping down fall to the bottom of the pan, okay? We're gonna get some tin foil for the bottom of it so it doesn't like completely burn. And I'm preheating the broiler so the top element is really nice and hot. And listen, my friends, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to cook it for you on the pan and you'll get to see the whole process anyways, okay? Just getting that ready. Awesome. I almost cut myself on the aluminum foil. Okay. And now, my friends, we must talk about the Carne Asada. Look at this. So, yes, I usually do. These were in a sheet tray with some salt beforehand. But then I put these into a bag and marinated them, of course. So what we're going to do is we're going to pat this dry. We're going to put this on a different plate and pat it dry. Because you don't want it to be soaking wet when it actually goes into whatever heating element you will actually be using. If it's soaking wet, you're not going to get a crust and you're just going to end up burning all of that marinade on the outside. So, let's take a look. In fact, I think gloves would be my best bet here. Yes, I do that all the time. I dry my meat on a sheet tray all the time before I cook it. So, ideally, again, you would want to do this 3 hours, 6 hours, even like 12 hours ahead of time. You can get away with 30 minutes, you can get away with 2 hours. I think we did these about an hour and a half ago, and I'm not going to be cooking all of these immediately, right? So, let's get one of the thinner pieces, one of the smaller ones. Just like this. And I'm going to just put it on this tray. And all we're going to do, oh no, look at that. Nothing got inside because it was curled up. Tragedy. This one's actually just going to go back in. We're going to put that into the bag, and it's just going to go on a little longer. Okay, hopefully this one is a little better off. Guys, I have so many blind spots. Oh no, that's not the way that I thought this would go. Into the bag. Okay, surely I will find one piece of meat that I did not have blind spots on. This is fine, that's good enough. Not perfect, but we had some blind spots. A little bit of a tragedy, but that's okay. That is okay. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna go ahead and pat this thing dry. We're going to get rid of some of the excess marinade that's on it so it doesn't burn. And then we'll see how the broiler method actually goes. And I think it's gonna be like a total of like 4 minutes per side, 3 minutes per side for the broiler, something like that. We'll see. High heat. We're just gonna give it a little try. Okay. Yeah, using a glove for this is nice. Okay. Get this over here. Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed about that, but that's okay. And again, I'm not planning on cooking all of these at once anyways. We're gonna pat this side down now too. Okay. Still plenty of the spice, right? Still plenty of the excess on it. I'm gonna go ahead and take this glove off. I'm gonna wash my hands really quickly because they did get contaminated in this process. Also, welcome on in, Mr. Tazaraki. And now, I'm just gonna throw this under the broiling and see what happens. I haven't necessarily seen somebody broil a carne asada before, right? If you're doing it at home, you would usually just do this inside of a pan. Everybody, I wanna hear a good evening back to Taza. I wanna see a good evening right now. Are you serious? Okay. So, once again, guys, the broiler, really super high heat top element. Things can burn under it really easily, so you have to keep an eye on it. You have to keep an eye on it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in right now. Top element, right under the broiler, nice high heat, and that's gonna be a couple of minutes per side. And I wanna see if I'll be able to get the kind of crust and caramelization that I want and the actual cook that I want, and if I don't, we're just gonna do this in my trusty carbon steel pan instead. So we have a fail-safe built in, and I wanted to experiment today. I really wanted to experiment and try something new and try something that I haven't really done before, which is to cook it like this. I don't normally broil my steaks because I don't have like a, like a salamander that you would have in like a professional kitchen setting. But in the meantime, while that's going, I suppose we can recap everything else that we've been doing. Let's head to the stove and I'm gonna show you everything that we've worked on. So, let's move this aside. We have no place for it. This, my friends, is a delicious seasoned rice. Look at it. tomato paste, chicken stock, okay? Onions, garlic, really flavorful, but not full of spices, because that's what the beans are for. So I'm gonna show you all my delicious pot of black beans right now. My black beans with chorizo, with bouillon, with sazon, with the annatto seeds. Excellent. That is the perfect viscosity. Nice and saucy, my friends. Nice and saucy. Okay, really incredible stuff. It tastes amazing. That is so flavorful. Okay, and the last thing, we have a pico de gallo that we made. So a little bit of tomato, some onions, some cilantro, some lime juice, and some jalapenos. Currently sitting in the fridge as well. Really, really delicious stuff. And now, I'm taking a look at the carne asada that I have going on in here. We're gonna do a few minutes per side and see how that goes. Excellent. And I guess we can also start thinking about our plating. Also, welcome on in, Wolf. How you doing? It's lovely to see you again. Oh, I'm really excited for everything. And remember, the carne asada marinade that we did was pretty serious. It was pretty serious stuff. So, again, everybody, the cook on the carne asada that I want, you can't really use a probe thermometer. You can't really use, I think I have it back here to show off. You can't really use one of these on a carne asada. You can't really do this on a skirt steak. Because the meat is so thin, you're going to get a lot of inconsistent and uneven heating if you do it that way. So I really, truly do not recommend that you use a probe thermometer and cut this thin. You're looking at the way that it buckles. You're looking just sort of at the crust developed. And you just want to get a really crispy crust on it and keep the inside slightly raw. So don't really think about it in terms of rare, medium rare. Don't worry about those classifications as much. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop out the meat just so that you guys can take a look at it right now. Okay, you know what? This is actually coming along to some extent. It's definitely cooking. It's not getting nearly as crispy on the top as I would have liked, despite it being on the top element. So let me give this a little flip. I can tell by its flexibility that is still functionally a raw piece of meat. We're gonna put it on that side now, okay? And try to give it some color. Under the broiler, top element, get it really, really hot, my friends. And then if that goes well, we won't have to do it on the pan, and we could even compare the two. Guys, would you like to still see me cook this steak on a proper pan and just compare the two methods? Would you all be interested in that? Excellent. All right. Because we can also do that. We can also do that. I am experimenting a little bit today to see if I can do that in the broiler in the future. You like to hear that sizzle? I like to hear it too. When the fajitas are sizzling. Okay. That's over here. That's over there. And now we gotta go to the stove. So, that's my really nice carbon steel pan. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna crank that heat up. Crank it up nice and hot. Nice medium high heat. Or rather, you can just do a medium heat and heat it up for longer. You want an evenly heated pan, my friends. An evenly heated pan. Okay? In the meantime, we have to take one of the steaks out and pat it dry. So, let's do that now. And we gotta babysit the one in the broiler. A lot of micromanagement, but we'll make it happen. So, here's what's going on. We take another glove, or two even. That's not very centered for y'all, is it? Better. Fix it. Okay. Meat. Open it up. I wanted to get another glove so I wouldn't have to wash my hands after. Save me a lot of a headache. I think I might have needed some more oil. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have needed some more oil and everything, but that's okay. So my friends, take a look. Here's the carne. Beautiful stuff, huh? The chilies, the cumin, the coriander, really, really beautiful stuff. And now we have to wipe off some of it, otherwise it's just gonna burn in the pan when we add it. We have to get rid of it, my friends. This is not an option. It will just burn, it'll just create one huge mess. So you have to wipe off. You have to wipe it off. Especially the heat that we're cooking it at, it's no joke. Okay, and I like to leave it like this. In fact, we might even cut that in half, now that I'm looking at it. We might cut it in half so that it would fit in the pan. Okay. Just grabbing a little knife, it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is just go into the steak right here. Would you cook this on a grill? Yes, traditionally this would be made on a grill exclusively, right? It's carne asada, grilled meat. Okay, that's all we really need to do for that. Perfect. And now, while we also have a second of time, I gotta go babysit whatever is happening in the broiler. So, I'm gonna take that out. The pan right here is preheating. We're getting it really nice and hot. Ooh, oh shit. Look at that crust. Look at that. Actually, that's not so bad. I have a feeling that's overcooked now, but we'll see how it goes. That's a boiled piece of meat. And we're gonna compare that side by side with a pan-seared one, and we'll see which one we end up liking the best. So, rest it. You have to rest it. If you cut it in while hot, all the juices are gonna run out. It's gonna be a waste of everybody's time. You don't wanna do that. Anytime you do a hot and fast cooking method for meat, you have to let it rest. It is not an option to not do so. And generally, the rule of thumb is you have to rest something half as long as you cooked it. It really depends on the size of the meat. It depends on what you're doing. So just leave it there for 5 minutes probably on a low end of things. Cool it down a little bit. I'm gonna wash my hands off one more time. And we're getting that carbon steel pan super hot. We're letting that steak rest. We're letting it come back up to room temperature. And we're gonna slice into it and see how it goes. Is everybody ready? This is the carne asada that's gonna be pan-fried. That's the carne asada that was broiled. We have the rice ready, we have the beans ready, we have the pico de gallo ready. And soon, once this is all cooked, we can think about plating and slicing. We are in the final stages, my friends. This is it, the time is now. Okay? I'm pretty excited about the broiled carne asada. The crust is not as good as I would like it to be. That crust is not good enough for me though. So I can already tell you right now, I'm probably only gonna be defaulting to the pan-fried one. That's what's on my mind. So, we want this hot. We want it really hot, okay? You wanna get a nice hot sear on this. Skirt steak, you want it to be so hot that you're almost burning the crust on the outside. You want it to be really, really crispy. It's a very thin piece of meat. It cooks super quickly. 2 minutes per side, 3 minutes maximum, okay? We can't actually probe it because of how thin it is, and we'll just get a very inaccurate reading. So you have to trust your instinct, and you have to trust some visual cues, and you just have to do this enough times. You can't do the tension test that, you know, some TV chefs like to say, do this to test if it's medium rare. It's not gonna work with a skirt steak. The muscle tension on it is very different. It's a lot softer on the muscle tension. Doesn't mean it's a softer piece of meat. It just means you can't use that as an accurate measurement of anything. Okay, pan's getting really nice and hot now. Perfect. We're gonna add in a little bit of oil. You don't want too much oil. You just want enough that the meat will properly fry, or sear rather, but you don't want so much that it's deep frying or anything, okay? A little bit of oil going in now. And this is gonna create a lot of smoke. You can already see the amount of smoke that's being produced. I don't know if you can actually. All right, chat, are we ready? My little sous chefs, are we ready? I think it's time. It's gambling time. Yes, chef, that's one. I don't have to explicitly tell you all to say yes, chef. I just want to say something. I want you all to say yes. Good, thank you. Excellent. My friends, steaks going on now. Really, really hot. Medium to high heat on my carbon steel pan. It's going to create a lot of smoke. You have to be okay with it. This is the reality when it comes to making steak at home. When you make steak at home, you have to be ready for the amount of smoke. Unplug your smoke detector. I know that's dangerous advice, but it's temporary, and then put it back in. Okay? Open some windows, do what you gotta do. It will create smoke, and there's nothing that you can do to get around that. If the pan is properly heated up, it will make smoke, and it will make lots of it. In fact, I have a feeling that my pan could have been even hotter. I have a feeling that mine was a little too cold still. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna debunk one little steak myth for you all right now. Oh, hello. My thing got stuck here. I'm gonna just leave that in the sink. I'm gonna debunk a steak myth for all of you. Hey, what is going on? Why is this not sliding in? There we go. Perfect. People say you can't flip your meat, you can't move it, you have to leave it on one side. That is mostly nonsense. The more you flip it, the more even your cook is going to be. The more you flip it, the more edge to edge it's going to be. The more you leave it on one side, you're going to get a bullseye effect of the inside being raw and the outside being overcooked, which can be preferable depending on what kind of steak you like. Flip it often, like this, like every 10 seconds or so, and you're going to get a very evenly cooked piece of steak. Yes, it does. Grilling is an outdoor activity. You're not going to really be grilling things at home. You're absolutely right, Chris Slash. A stovetop electric griddle, it doesn't do anything because it's not smoke. It's not actual fire, right? Don't bother with that stuff. It's all nonsense. It's all distraction. So, my friends, only a couple minutes per side. We don't want to overcook this. I know it looks very soft and flexible, but skirt steak is actually just like that. Skirt steak is just like that. Okay, keep it going, keep it going. Nice high heat. Really, really sear it. Really get some good color on it. We're gonna do about a minute of total cook time more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Flip. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Flip it. We're gonna get a little bit more on that side. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last side. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's it. I want to get a little bit more crust on this side. I lied. A little bit more. Again, I don't like using a probe thermometer for this because it's a very, very thin piece of meat. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and now let's pull it off and onto that same sheet tray where the other one cooked. Get that off the heat so that doesn't continue to burn. We gotta let that cool off a little bit, my friends. Guess what? We did it. We've officially cooked everything that we've needed to, and now we gotta let that steak rest. We gotta let it rest a few moments. Okay, delicious. And now, let's look at the sheet tray. Let's look at the sheet tray, come in. Let's go take a look. This is the steak that's already rested. This is the one that was already cooked, remember? Let's go ahead and slice into it. And we'll plate up, and we'll compare the two. Actually, let's give it a second still. We'll give it a second still. Let's just plate up right now. Let's get everything that we want assembled. So first step, my friends, we're gonna do the rice and beans in a nice big bowl. So take a look. Okay? This is our rice, seasoned, delicious. Full of flavor, onions, garlic, the tomato paste. Let's get that all off to one side. Something like that. Incredible. So delicious. You have no idea. Next, let's get the beans. I'm gonna get the beans in there. I'm gonna ladle some on. Oh, I wanted beans so badly. I'm so glad I have some again. Excellent. Look at these beans. Look at these rice and beans, my friends. The beans cooked with chorizo, cooked with sazon. A lot of love went into this. Cooked with some bouillon, with some onion, with some garlic. The rice, tomato paste, bouillon, onions, garlic. Incredible. Okay. Now, for the steak itself, we're gonna do a small plate. I'm gonna do a little plate like this. Okay, but first, we have to talk about slicing the meat itself, my friends. So, that center steak has already fully rested for us. It's fully rested. The one that we did in the broiler. So let's go ahead and take it out. I'm gonna glove up. This broiler is gonna slide around because I neglected to put a wet paper towel under it. Everybody, this is the final stage of the cooking operation. This is it. This is where magic happens. It's time to slice it and see how we did. So this was the broiled steak. Cut this in half like this. And we're going to get nice perpendicular slices, perpendicular to the grain. The grain goes this way. You slice it this way. You don't slice it like this. So, my broiler is sliding because I neglected to put down a wet paper towel, but it's okay. Nice long slice. Use the full length of your knife. Nice long slice, my friends. Excellent. A little overcooked this one, but that's okay. Let me taste it. Whoa. But still, super juicy. Super juicy. That is amazing. Next one. This one's gonna be even more cooked because of how thin it was. So I think I definitely overdid it inside of the broiler. But, my friends, this is so tender. Really good. And now, let's do one of the other steaks. I think this is also adequately rested. A little bit better crust on it. Okay, let's move that aside. Let's get this done. That's a little bit better. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that go. You know what? The broiling one was a nice way to get a lot of them done, but the crust on this is a lot better, and it's juicier because I didn't overcook it as much. But look at this carne asada. Look at this carne asada. Look how juicy it is. You get all the spices. That is delicious. That is so good, my friends. That is so flavorful. Huh? Amazing. Amazing, amazing. And that marinade really penetrates when you do it like this. Look at that. Awesome. So good. I'm gonna snack on another piece. Excellent. Really special stuff. Okay. And now, how do I actually make this look pretty on the plate? Usually whenever I eat steak, I just kind of slop it up. This is a better steak. I'm gonna have that later as a treat, I think. That's so much meat. I'm trying to figure out how much I want right now. Well, we're doing quite a bit for myself as a little treat. I think I deserve one, quite frankly. I've had a pretty shit day for a lot of reasons. Okay, carne asada. And then, my friends, a nice little scoop of the Pico de Gallo with my hands. Yes, carne asada is used for tacos all the time. In fact, I was thinking about making tortillas, and then I realized that would definitely be a little too much work for today. A little too much. I would have been overextending myself. I'm gonna wash off my knife right now because I don't want it to sit in like all that acidity. Okay, my friends. Oh, thank you so much for the sub. And now, let's take a look and let's have a little recap. Look at this. Look at this. Look at all of this. Look at this. How do I frame it? How do I frame it? I think that'll do just fine. In fact, I'll just show it off one by one. Everybody, we've done it. We've made Every single component that you see in front of you, we've made everything. We made everything from scratch as much as we can. Let's start with the rice and beans. Look at this, black beans, dried black beans. We don't use canned beans in this household. Chicken bouillon, some sazon with the annatto seeds in it. Onions, garlic, and chorizo. We fried up the chorizo, and then we cooked the beans and all of that. Beautiful, amazing. And then we cooked down the bean liquid, so it's really, really saucy and delicious. This rice that you're looking at, we cook the rice separately in a little bit of tomato paste and chicken bouillon. In a separate pan, we fry up onions, garlic, and tomato paste. And then we mix it all together and we have this delicious, amazing yellow rice. And then over here, my friends, take a look at this. This is our carne asada. We had some guajillo chilies. We had some ancho chilies, no chipotles because of reasons. Some garlic, some lime juice, some freshly toasted coriander, cumin, oregano, a bunch of salt that we dry branded in, lime juice, and cilantro. Blended all of it up, let it sit in all of that, and then some pico de gallo alongside it. So some tomatoes that we salted, onions that we doused in lime juice, some jalapenos and some cilantro. Beautiful, huh? Look at the spread. You wish this was you. You wish you were eating this right now. Guess what? It's all for me and my mom when she comes back home. And anybody that breaks into the house. Santa season after all. You don't know what that guy's up to. Okay, I'm gonna have a little fork. And remember, when you slice it perpendicular to the grain of the meat, you get a really tender steak. If you cut it the wrong way, your skirt steak will be tough. Let's have a little bite. So good. Incredible. So yummy. And then, let's take a little steak in my mouth. I have some pico de gallo in one mouthful, huh? That is so good. And now, my friends, the rice and the beans. Look at this plate. Some rice. So flavorful, so tomatoey. And we use the Haiger rice, right? The beans are delicious, so meaty. Actually perfect. This was actually perfect. In every single regard, this was perfect, my friends. That was really, really delicious. Why, thank you, Gimu. Now with the tortilla, it'd be very nice because then you could just gather it all up together. But let me tell you, this is some serious shit. This is so good. Damn. We made every component here. We don't mess around. We do not mess around. Everything here was made ourselves. Oh, I love mixing it around too. Trust me, when I'm eating this myself, I'm doing this. It just looks nice on camera, separated. Oh, let's have some more of the steak. Let's have some more of the pico de gallo. Awesome. One of the best things I've actually made here. Okay, everybody, final questions. Anything else that you want to say to me? We're gonna go ahead and see who is live at the moment. And go ahead and grade them. Otherwise, thank you all for being here. I don't know the time of the next stream. It's gonna be this Friday. I don't know if we're doing 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. Join my Discord. Type in !mark Discord. Follow me on Twitter to find out all the notifications. Okay? Do that now. If you're not doing it, you're making a mistake. Okay? I see that Eat at Dad's is streaming. We're gonna go ahead and read him. Anything else that y'all want to say to me? Thank you all for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Oh, and thank you, Cyber. That's very sweet of you. Next stream is gonna be this Friday. This Friday. I don't know if it's gonna be 6 EST, 5 EST, or 4 EST. I will let you all know. Join my Discord. Follow me on Twitter. Buy me something nice for the holidays on Throne if you'd like. Drop a sub. Drop a follow if you haven't already done so. And I will see you all this Friday. Bye-bye.